Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome on in. Guys, gals, non binary pals, I have some unfortunate news to share. I got old. Celebrating 33 years of this life today. Thank you so much for joining me for this stream. I'm excited about it. Admittedly, I have not been planning it all that long, but this idea has kind of been in the back of my head for a while. Um, some of you may know I have a vinyl collection. A bit of it started back in high school, and I've been collecting vinyl pretty much ever since. But I really picked up on it over the past 6 years or so, just with kind of the musicians I've been listening to, the availability of finding new records. So I'm excited to take this opportunity to share with you some of my findings, go over the ones that are most exciting to me, and kind of highlight a little bit of my own musical listening journey for you all as well. And I figured the best way to do that would be to show you the vinyl and then put it into a spreadsheet based on a recent conversation I had with my very good friend Trash Char, who's here in chat right now. I will be staring at your spreadsheet with my eyeballs when it's done, and I am more than happy to share the link with you on all my socials afterwards. So don't worry, you will get that spreadsheet. Welcome on in, Trash Char. Thank you for the daily check-in. Welcome on in, Virgil. Thank you for the daily check-in and first. I think you've gotten first 3 or 4 times now in a row. I don't really have a way of tracking that, but maybe I should. But I appreciate you being here nonetheless. Hello. Welcome on in. Great to see everyone. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. You might see there's an extra addition to the pile below. Wow, my eyes are really closed. What's going on? Let me quickly recalibrate here. Oh, I think I see what's going on. I didn't turn on a light. It gets a little bit dark in this room, so I have to have multiple lights on in order to just kind of get it right. But it looks like we're all set here. Yeah, so first bit of housekeeping, you'll notice we have an additional uh addition down below me. The frog is naked. No, it's not. No, it's not. Can't you see its necklace? The necklace is covering up any and all parts that are not allowed to be here on Twitch. They are well dressed for the occasion with their necklace and their scarf, too. We don't want to be showing any neck here on stream. Personally, I think that fit is very flattering for them. And look how happy they are. They're just sitting there staring off in two different directions. But next to them is another scrungly little character, um, which was a gift by Jam VHS. Let me go ahead and shout them out real quickly. Um, Another one of my friends who does a lot of these kind of doodles. So this is one, you hang around a Jam stream enough, you'll accumulate channel points you can use to get doodles. Um, I didn't have an idea of what I wanted them to doodle, so I just redeemed it. And they're like, "Oh, what do you want?" I'm like, "I didn't get that far. I just got enough points for the doodle." I'm like, we'll figure something out. And then they sent me this today. So, I like that face. It's a very smug, kind of, I don't know, cunty face a little bit. It looks like, I don't know. I like it personally. But, yeah. I'm also realizing that this is going to get out of hand pretty quickly. I feel like at the rate I'm accumulating these PNGs, I need a better way to organize them. So be on the lookout for that in a future stream. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much all the housekeeping I had to go over here. I'll go ahead and say one more thing before we get started, and maybe I'll reiterate this a couple times during the stream. Um, I had a lot of people reach out today to wish me a happy birthday, and I honestly wasn't really expecting that. So thank you so much, everyone who reached out and remembered, or just kind of, I don't know, reached out to make me feel special. I do really appreciate that. Um, I feel like I'm kind of in this weird point in my life where I'm not. I guess I don't really look forward to birthdays the way that I used to, and maybe that's just kind of a symptom of getting older, right? They used to be these kind of spectacles where you would get everyone together, go out and do something. This is actually the first year I didn't really have a solid plan for what I wanted to do for my birthday, and that's usually because my birthday kind of falls on weekends, like statistically speaking, or at least adjacent to weekends. Given proximity of Memorial Day, I've also had it just fall on Memorial Day as well. So normally we are like going out somewhere, right? Either out for like a barbecue or a club or drinking or something like that. But this wasn't the case with it happening kind of midweek. So, um, which meant that I actually had a little bit of extra time to kind of plan something for stream, not really knowing what to do. I just want to talk about music, honestly. And like I said right at the start, right? I want to use this as an opportunity for two things, right? One, to actually organize my record collection a little bit, put it into a spreadsheet, kind of take inventory of what exactly I've accumulated. Because these records have come from a lot of places, right? These are records that I got. Some of them I got back in high school. Some of them were hand me downs from either my parents or my wife's parents. I don't even know some of the records that are in this collection. Others are records that I might have like kind of bought at the time when they went on sale because I really liked the record. Some of them are still in their original packaging. A lot of them aren't because I do not really care about that stuff. I like taking them out and listening to them. That's what you do with music. You listen to it. Um, so I'm excited to kind of go through this collection. It's probably going to lean mostly rock and electronic, if I'm being 100% honest. There might be a couple surprises in there, but we'll all find that out together. But yeah, without further ado, how about we jump right into it? Hello. So I'm already sharing my screen here, and I'm not seeing my. Oh, where's my now playing? There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and keep playing background music here. I might end up switching sounds as the stream goes on, but let me go ahead and organize myself right here. There we go. Let me know if the sounds or the levels are off at all, and I can adjust them as needed. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. Um, so as far as like what I'm actually keeping track of, right? Um, this is kind of just the most basic information, I think. Artist, obviously, who made the music, title of the album or EP, what label was released under. Each record has its unique catalog number, which can be used to kind of cross-reference it to the specific, like, essentially use it as a way to map all of these different pieces to it. Um, the year it came out, and then additional notes. I wasn't sure if I wanted a way to kind of differentiate between different like repress versions or remaster versions, and I might maybe I'll make that decision as I go in. Hi, Circe, welcome on in. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by. Um, I figured at least from the start, some of them might require me to actually go in and open the record to figure it out, or there might be like a more complicated way of figuring out if it's a repress. So I'll just kind of leave it as is for now. Notes I'll probably just use if I can find that specific repress information. I will. Otherwise, maybe make some notes about like the color of the record. We'll go ahead and see. Thank you. I appreciate that very much, Circe. Hope you've been doing well this evening. Another thing, I'm probably going to randomize the records at least a little bit. I don't think I have a ton of ones by the same musician that are back to back. Um, so with that, I think we'll go ahead and get started here. So let's see, what's going to be our first one? All of the records are sitting in crates on my bed. I have pretty much two full crates and a couple of like boxes, like not boxes. What do you call them? Like kind of packaged vinyl. Like they're not in sleeves, right? They're in actual like packages. They're part of like larger box sets, essentially. Okay, first record we are grabbing is. Ooh, okay. This is actually the most. This is actually the most recent one I found. Um, this is OPO's A Shape of Music. Let's see if we can get that there. Okay, so short story on this one. I actually found this very close by, unexpectedly at a record store not super far from my apartment. Completely caught me off guard because I'm pretty sure he only sold these online. Um, Opio is a glitch hop psychedelic bass musician. I've been following him since I've been into this kind of style of music. First heard him about halfway through my college years. This is I don't think it's not his most recent LP. It's the LP that came before that. It's a pretty solid record. It's not exactly my favorite of his, but at the same time, I don't have any OPO records, and he has such like fun, groovy, funky music. A Shape of Sound. Let me make sure I get that. Sound. The label is Slurp, which is I think his own custom label. Now, is there a catalog number? That's going to be a good question. I'm not seeing one yet. And it's possible with this being an independent release, there might not actually be a catalog number associated with this. So I'll go ahead and just leave it as is. He didn't even put the year this came out, which is pretty funny. But I can look that up. Actually, could also just go ahead and pop it open. Like I said, I don't really particularly care about the seals on these things. Music is made to be listened to. But I don't know if I'm going to do this with every record, just because that might end up taking a lot of time to do. Let's see. Do we have a... Okay, we don't even have years on these. That's pretty funny. Okay. That is A-okay. I'm going to go ahead and quickly search it up. And we'll go ahead and put that to the side. Okay, so first one, OPO, A Shape of Sound. Get in there. There we go. A Shape of Sound. OPO. Stop it. Stop it, Copilot. 2022. Perfect. All right. First record done. I don't know if I should have like a done pile or anything. I'll go ahead and start one. Okay, next one. Ooh, yes. Fuck it. Striking some fucking gold here already. Magdalena Bay's Imaginal Disc. Fantastic fucking record. Do yourselves a favor if you haven't heard this already and go give it a listen. This was only released the past 2 years, 2024, on Mom and Pop Records. Very, very good album. They are a electronic indie kind of alt rock band. They have a very trippy sound to them. This album is just a fantastic listen all the way through. Magdalena Bay, Imaginal Disc, Mom and Pop. And this one actually has a catalog, MP770 2024. And I believe this was part of the original pressing as well. I don't think there's a ton of variants of these, but great record. I guess I think I found this at one of our local record shops here in the town I live in. So they're a big record shop that supports a lot of kind of indie musicians. They're part of like that circuit where you can request that they carry like a record that's part of like an independent chain, and they'll like make a call and get orders in. I've been able to get a lot of really good electronic records that way. But yeah, great album. I think I like it more than more than the album before that as well. It's just solid. I don't know what else I can say about it. Okay. Next record. Ooh, okay. So, this might end up being a controversial opinion. We'll see. Okay. So this is Caro Caro Bonito's Civilization. Caro Caro Bonito is, I guess they're considered like a proto-hyperpop band, but they're also kind of in that vein of like electronic. They're kind of like an electronic pop style, but they have a very, how do I put it? It's almost kind of like a minimalist, like quirky kind of electronic sound. This is a very good record. I don't really like how it got translated to the vinyl for this. And I think that's something that I guess is important to share here. maybe some of you don't know this, the mastering process needed to put music onto vinyl records is different than what is needed to actually make MP3s or WAV files or however else you're distributing music, even CDs as well, right? And a big part of that is just the mechanics of the material itself. Because keep in mind, like, what an what a vinyl record actually is this bass where you're literally etching grooves into it that are going to be picked up and amplified. And this is actually a cool record to show that off because look at that. It's like a smoky vinyl. Like, kind of, it's this iridescent opaque. This is exactly why I jumped on this, by the way. But you can kind of see it, right? All the grooves that are present in there. Um, there's a really cool picture floating around that shows like what those actually look like under a microscope, and they basically look like little sound waves because that's what's happening when the needle is going over them. It's amplifying them and putting them into your speakers as electrical energy, and then the speakers amplify it and turn it into sound that you can enjoy, right? But all that said, you do need to prepare those masters in a specific way such that they actually work for the material. Hello, you bring me Joe Joy. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for stopping by, Jojo the Joe. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, I'll go ahead and say while I do like this record, this is actually two EPs sandwiched into a single release. I'm not the biggest fan of this actual release. I don't think it sounds great on my speaker system. But I would still recommend people go out and listen to this because the closing song on it, Well Rested, is a fucking banger. Such a good record. Just wish it sounded a little bit better on my record player. So, Caro, Bonito, Civilization. Now, do they have information on who produced this? Problem is they use these symbols and replace as like to replace letters, and it's a little bit hard to decipher. So let me go ahead and quickly look up this information. Caro, Bonito, Civilization, LP. Thank you, Target. Can you tell me who published it? Nope. See full details. Come on. Polyvinyl. Okay, Polyvinyl is the record label. And then this came out in 2021. Okay. Polyvinyl 2021. Okay. I think that's it. All right. Let's see. Next up, we have okay, now I found a record that I don't actually know. So, like I said, some of these records are going to be hand-me-downs from my parents or my parents-in-law. This is... Who the hell is this? Taj Mahal Giant Step. I have some homework that I need to do, apparently. Um, looks like he's some sort of country or folk artist. Looks like it's a Columbia record. Giant Step by Taj Mahal, I believe. The Old Folks at Home. Oh, it's a double record, it looks like. Okay. Let's go ahead and write that down. Taj Mahal. Giant Step. The Old Folks at Home. So this is one of those cases where I can't really tell you too much about it. Taj Mahal, Giant Step. American blues musician Taj Mahal. A double album is electric while the second is acoustic. Released in 1969. We have a... And this is probably like an original pressing too. And it's on Columbia. Okay. Which also means we should be able to find GP18. That's it? GP18. Okay. I don't have too much to say about this. This is one of the records I haven't actually listened to in my collection. Like I said, it was a hand-me-down. I do like blues music. I don't really listen to it super often. I'm probably more aware of like blues fusion and like rock stuff, but I'll go ahead and add it in anyway. Ooh, okay, here we go. Speaking of classics, New Shoes Poolside. I don't think most people will know a lot of the songs, if any of the ones on this record. Really, the main reason I got it is because of the song I Can't Wait, which is up there in terms of some of my favorite electronic music from the 80s. Oh my god, this song comes on, I'm just in a better fucking mood. It's so good. Um, I might go ahead and cue it, actually. Why not? Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do this with every record that I run into, but eh, what's the problem in going in and finding a couple songs to queue up here? But it's just, I don't know, it's kind of just nice electronic like pop from the 80s, like very danceable, very fun. Um, New Shoes, Poolside, Atlantic, 81647-1. 8476 81647. 81647-1. And this came out in 1985. 1986, excuse me. All right. Next up. Ooh, this one's loose in its packaging. Ooh, yes. Okay. Uh, we got Black Sabbath's Paranoid. Oh, fucking fantastic record. Okay, so this was kind of a. I appreciate this record a lot. Oh, there's the song I queued. The New Shoe song. I know this riff was also sampled in a hip hop song, I think in the 90s or 2000s. Anyway, Black Sabbath, Paranoid. Many of you will know that Black Sabbath is one of the first bands to be considered part of the heavy metal wave that came from the UK. There is a interesting morbid story around that. The guitarist of the band, Tony Iommi, was working at a, I guess, metal processing plant, and unfortunately, sorry, content warning, I guess maiming, bodily injury. He got the tips of his fingers cut off and had to essentially have them um, essentially sewn together, right? Or at least fixed in such a way, but he no longer had his fingertips. That was a problem because he was a guitarist, right? Like, you kind of need your fingertips in order to hold the strings down across the frets. So what he ended up doing was essentially fashioning new fingertips for himself out of thimbles, and that led to a very different kind of sound coming out of his guitar, and that is something that Black Sabbath leaned into when they were starting, like, putting together their records, right? um Now, they were very heavily influenced by blues rock, psychedelic rock as well. um I very much consider this album to be like a psychedelic album, right? War Pigs is such a cool journey of a song. Paranoid is a very fun, upbeat, even danceable song. Fairies Wear Boots is like a just a fucking banger. This is a great album. I really like it a lot. Black Sabbath, Paranoid. Um, Whomst. Okay, well, there's the BSK 3104. And what record label were you on? Were you Columbia? Warner Brothers. You're a Warner Brothers. All right. But yeah, I did discover a lot of rock music through Guitar Hero and Rock Band, by the way. So War Pigs was one of those songs where I was like, this is a pretty cool banger. Warner Bros. And I should have looked at the year when I had this open. Okay, what year were you? 1970. I keep telling people I think the 70s was probably my favorite like decade of music. It's the 70s, but also like the 2020s has been really damn good with its releases. Like I'm blown away by how much good music there is coming out now, you know. All right, next up, who do we got here? Oh, okay. This is one I literally just got like a couple weeks ago. Uh, Machine Girls, Psycho Warrior, MG Ultra X. Look at isn't that cover so fucking cool? So this was actually designed by another one of my one of my favorite artists, Giant Claw, aka Keith Rankin. Also a member of Death's Dynamic Shroud. He's also a graphic designer and will do like cover art for albums. So he did the cover art for this, the cover art for the remix album of this, and he did a remix on that album as well. This album is wild. Machine Girl do a lot of kind of experimental, like industrial noise, heavy electronic kind of sounds. Very, very, I very how do I describe it? Harsh, very in your face, but it just fucking slaps. Like I would love to go to a concert to see these guys at some point. Okay, so Machine Girl, Psycho Warrior, MG Ultra X. What's the label? Do they have label information? Well, I guess it would have been on the back, huh? Future Classic. Future Classic. What year? This was 2005. Okay. I don't think there's a number. Oh, FCL 695. Perfect. Okay. There haven't been a lot of records that haven't had a catalog number, which is, I guess, good. Oh, speaking of Magdalena Bay. All right, who's next? What do we got next? Haha. Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever. Solid album. I did like it. I like how much like care in the production went into this album. I do like it more than the last album she put out. Like no real shade to the last album. Hit Me Hard and Soft. It is a good album. I like this a lot better, personally. I think this just did a better job at showing her range. I think it had some better hits on it. I will go ahead and say, not to get too spoilery, I did like When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go a lot more. That is just such a fascinating album to me. This one was good, though. This had a lot of solid songs on it. Therefore I Am is great. I did like the change up between I Didn't Change My Number and Billy Bossa Nova. That was pretty fun. Oxytocin is a banger. Very good. Billie Eilish. Happier Than Ever. Oop. Thank you, Cap. Welcome on in. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. This was 2021. Oop. Not that category. 2021. There we go. And then, is this two record labels? Darkroom and Interpol? Interesting. Magdalena Bay. Oh, let me go ahead and show you since you just missed this. I do have the vinyl for it. So, I already added that to my collection here. I'm doing good. I hope you've had a great day so far. It has been very nice. Very low stress. I got to do and partake in a lot of things I enjoy. My wife got me some cookies, so I'm over the fucking moon right now. Let's see, catalog number is, and I'm just pretty much yapping about music too, which I also like. I don't see a catalog number on this yet. I'll spend just a. Oh, there it is. All right, B0033832-01. Perfect. A great day, exactly. All right. Next record. What do we got? What do we got? Any guesses? We got. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Daft Punk's Alive 2007. Wow. I think this is the best live record ever released. Like, straight up. This record is so good. Like, if you've never listened to even any Daft Punk, you can jump into this album. It's basically a greatest hits album all smashed together and reworked and remixed, and it is just amazing. I cannot recommend this album enough here. Daft Punk's Alive 2007. Daft Punk Alive 2007. This is the kind of record that makes me wish I had been to that concert, right? Just because I think you could find like videos of Daft Punk like doing that performance and just watch it. It's so good. Okay, so I think this is actually a repress. So I think the original record did come out in 2007, but it's a 2014 repress. What record label? Warner Music. Is that the same as Warner Brothers? I don't know. Oh, there is a code. It is so fucking tiny. 0190296611964. Up. Do not pad. How do I? How do I update the format of these cells? See, it's not true. It was only just to keep us together. This is it. That was it. Your last chance. I'm gonna have to figure this out. Jam, welcome on in. It's good to see you. Thank you so much. I put your little doodle on my screen here so everyone could see it in all of its glory. I hope you're doing well. I'll go ahead and tear off the plastic here. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what I was looking for. Let's look at it. That's your drawing. It says, yeah, no, Jam does very fun, silly drawings. You should definitely check his stuff out if you haven't seen it. I was about to say, because I think, Jam, your streams are all covered with, like, drawings you've made of, like, other streamers as well. I love that your streams are, like, a sensory overload for me. Okay, what do we got next? We have... Okay, I didn't even intend for this. We have another Daft Punk record, and this is probably their best record, too. I mean, you can fight me on this, I don't mind. Discovery is just an amazing record. Daft Punk were the first electronic band I ever listened to, and I don't think that should really surprise anyone, right? I think for a lot of people, they were kind of the first big electronic group to kind of break through. And, like, I don't think they really had that big of a following until they put out Random Access Memories. But I vividly remember in the mid-2000s sitting on a school bus with my sister and her friend, and we would take turns listening to her iPod, and she had a bunch of songs from Daft Punk's Discovery and their follow-up album Human After All on it. So obviously I heard Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, I heard Aerodynamic, I heard One More Time. Um good songs. And this record as a whole, if you haven't like sat down and listened to this whole thing, um one, do that. Two, consider doing it to the movie as well. Interstellar 5555. Because it is a really cool movie that basically is just set to Daft Punk's Discovery. Discovery, I think this was on Warner as well, but let's go ahead and confirm that before I start giving misinformation. Warner Music France, that's what I was missing. Okay, so these are all French. Warner Music France. 2001 is when this record came out. Thank you. Nope, I keep putting it in that. Oh, that's what I meant to do. I was trying to figure out how to fix the formatting. Okay, and then it's another 0190296617164. Great record. Um, Daft Punk, I think, were very important in kind of priming me for electronic music to come. You know, so I'm very grateful having experienced them and growing up with that. What do we got next? What do we got next? Okay, now we're starting to get into the shit that I'm like, that kind of really got me into the trippy side of things. Spongle's Ineffable Mysteries from Spongleland. Okay. Maybe some of you have heard me just kind of yapping on about Spangle in previous streams. They are a psychedelic ambient duo made up of Simon Posford, aka Hallucinogen, and Raja Ram. So these guys were very, very formative in kind of the psytrance scene that ended up kind of stemming out of the Goa trance scene in India and eventually breaking through. Isn't that cover sick? I think the guy who designed this cover also designed like Pink Floyd covers as well. No, Storm Studios, excuse me. I'm confusing him with a different Storm, I think. Um, but anyway, um, so when they ended up getting together and putting out albums, it was essentially them kind of just chilling and getting stoned and noodling with each other. Like Raja would be known to go on these like long kind of just winding tales, just like essentially just talking out of his ass. And Simon would start like kind of coming up with beats and stuff, and they eventually turned that into a full-on project. This is a solid album. I think a lot of Spangle fans consider this one of their best outside of like their first one. It is a very good album. Um, I love a lot of the songs. I think the Inner Gatefold is also, yeah. Isn't this just such a pretty gatefold too? Like I love they do a really good job with the artwork on their albums, and we're gonna get to see more of this too because I have a lot of Spangle records. Um, so this is 2021 is when this version came out, but I don't know what the original pressing was because the original record did not come out in 2021. Let me see if I can find that. Is it here? Doesn't look it. I'm gonna Google what the original release year was. Okay. Spangle, Ineffable Mysteries from Spangleland. Twisted. TWSLP. 36R. And then I see DNVR, which I think is Denver, which might be where it was actually recorded. Not 100% certain on that. 2021 repress. Ineffable Mysteries came out in 2009. Okay. I love all these records. They do such a good job with their records. All right. Uh, Britney Spears, the number one debut album, "Baby One More Time." Oh, I found an icon. Right. I found this is pop, this is pop. This is the stuff that pop legends are made of. Right. I found this at a record store just kind of on a whim. I'm talking to my wife like, do I get this? Like, it really is essential reading. I like to tell people. So my first experience with Britney Spears, God, I probably was 7. No, I think I was younger. I was probably no, I might have been 6 or 7. My sister, who would have been like 4 or 5 at the time, my parents got her this CD, and she wasn't a big fan of it. I ended up listening to it more than she did. Um, it's so good. Like that baby one more time into what's the next one? You Drive Me Crazy. So good sometimes too. Yeah, it's a very solid record, and I mean, I think the hits still hold up after all these years. Um, when the fuck did this come out? 1999, repressed in 2018. Okay. Britney Spears, Baby One More Time. What's the record label? Zomba. I've never heard of that. Catalog. Not seeing a catalog number yet. Is it just the... Okay, I think it's just the number on the front. 19075886261 S 1. 1999, repressed in 2018. Good album. A lot of songs on it hold up. I'm probably not going to be shit talking a lot of music here. I just love music. If I have an issue with an individual record, I might call it out, but when the fuck did I get this one? Okay, this must have been one that we picked up at some point while just out shopping like discounted records. This is a Sia album. It's Sia's A Thousand Forms of Fear. I'm probably not going to be able to talk too much about this. Sia is one of those artists that I appreciate hearing her songs whenever they come on. I haven't really dug super deep into her. That said, it's a solid album. I mean, Chandelier's on it, Elastic Heart is on it. Very good songs. I think they still hold up. Non-share, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Welcome on in. Did I pronounce that right? Non-share, non-share. Uh, but thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, stopping by. I appreciate the message. We got Sia's Thousand Forms something. 1,000. Non-share is French. Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. 1,000 Forms of Fear. And you were published in 2014 by Monkey Puzzle Records. Monkey Puzzle. I don't know if I should be adding records to the end of these all. Like vinyl records, polyvinyl record, maybe. 2014. I said this was. Catalog number. Does this have a catalog number? Oh, I see it. It's very, very faint. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Eight 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 88843074041. I see some dashes mixed in as well. There we go. Okay. See ya. Ugh. Another record. Okay. So this is definitely a record I need to go in and give it another listen. I believe this is a kind of collection of singles. So this is Amon Tobin. So I don't talk about him too much on stream. I love his music so much. There are a lot of Amon Tobin records I need to get. ISAM is probably pretty close. ISAM is like a top 5 vinyl that I want to get. Um, he is just a very he kind of came out of like the trip hop scene a little bit, essentially just kind of making these down tempo beats but fusing them with like kind of the hot styles at the time, like breaks. He's got some drum and bass type stuff, like I said, trip hop. The thing is, he has such an ear for sound design. He put out a record kind of mid-level in his career that's essentially just made of Foley. Like he would just record stuff he either hears on the streets or just random sounds of him like hitting things or dropping things, and then he turned that whole thing into just a really solid trip hop album. Um, he's got some really fantastic albums and songs out there, and this was something that I came across and figured this is probably going to be a less well-known release, but it's not one that I'm super familiar with myself. So I think it literally is just a collection of like singles. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it as Amon Tobin 4-ton mantis vinyl. Yeah, so this is a single. 4-ton mantis. Uh, Ninja Tune. I don't think this is particularly cheating. 2000. Cool. Amon Tobin. Alright, what are you? Okay, okay. Now we're starting to get into prog rock. So, Emerson, Lake and Palmer trilogy. Um, so I mean, these guys were part of that kind of UK wave of progressive rock that came out of the 70s. Kind of the same time that like Genesis and Yes and Pink Floyd would all be coming out. So these guys, classically trained musicians, very musically skilled and inclined. Something you'll notice in a lot of their output is that they basically just do rock covers of classical songs. Even on this record, they had a cover of Hoedown by what's his name? Aaron Copland, I think. Um, they have Abaddon's Bolero, which is a kind of bolero style electronic song in the style of someone like Ravel. So just very talented musicians. Some of their stuff I think can be a little tricky to get into. If you just want to kind of go on a nerdy adventure and listen to some like fun synth driven rock, like they certainly have a lot of music that fills that up. Um, they have a lot of really cool classical covers as well. Like they put out a whole like pictures at an exhibition like live album, I think, where they just cover that whole like piece of like music by Modest Mussorgsky. Um, there's another album we're going to get to later, I'm pretty sure is in my collection, but I'll go ahead and include this here. Okay. Uh, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, named after the titular musicians Keith Emerson, Chris Lake, and Mike Palmer? And Emerson, Lake. Trilogy? I saw a number. SD 9903. Now, who is the record label? Cotillion. Cotillion, excuse me. And the year? 1972. Yep, Prague. Well, trust me, we are going to get into a lot of prog records as the night goes on. Okay, I literally just pulled out one of my favorite records of all time. Prepare yourselves. I'm going to gush so hard about this. Transcendence Bot by Death's Dynamic Shroud. Okay, I can't believe this is the first Death's Dynamic Shroud pull I have. Little bit of background onto who the hell these guys are. Three guys. Um, Keith Rankin, Tech Honors, and James Webster. The former two had been playing together and were in bands for a long time. I think the group of three knew each other for a long time. But it started off with them basically making mixtapes and sending them back and forth to each other. So the first releases that were part of the Death Dynamic Shroud canon were just kind of mixtapes, you know? A lot of experimental electronic, very vaporwave driven, even though they weren't really going out of their way to make vaporwave. Um, but eventually, it kind of got to a point where they're like, okay, there's something here. They started releasing what they called mainline albums, where they would actually like market them as like records and not mixtapes. Then they came together on their first album, with I guess not like the first canon album, but the first one all three of them worked on together was Heavy Black Heart, right? And then they go on to make Dark Life, and now they're working on a follow up to that. Um, but they're still doing mixtapes, and a lot of these mixtapes are either going to be one or maybe two of the members, but usually not three. This one's a Keith Rankin album. So if you've heard me ever gush about Giant Claw, same guy, and honestly, same style of music, great album. Very dark, heavy, brooding, euphoric, just electronic sounds coming out of this. He takes a lot of, what he likes to do is take a lot of pop vocals and kind of slow them down or chop them up. So very plunderphonic centric. This one, I've seen some commentary talking about that this is like some statement on like the role of like machines in humans' life, which I can see, but I almost see it as kind of portraying machines as kind of like a godlike entity to the point where you're playing with angels and demons and you can't even distinguish between the two because both of them are so obscenely far out of what you can perceive as a human, right? Like there is some like just kind of what's the word I want to use? Um Biblically accurate angelic shit happening on this record. I love this so much. This is one of the records that I think I've listened to more in my collection than others, even though it came out fairly recently. I love this one so much. So, Death's Dynamic Shroud, Transcendence Bot, uh, 100% electronica. I have a handful of records in this one. And this was released in 2023. Oh, actually, the album came out in 2022, but it's a 2023 pressing. And it's not a repress, because I think it's the first round of records that came out. And then 164p is the code, it looks like. Yep, 164p. Love this record. Destiny McShroud is one of those bands that got me like excited about music all over again. And we'll get to a couple more foundational records from them as the night goes on. Okay, so here's another record we inherited from my parents. There we go. Don't mind me, I'm just rolling over my own cord. Barbara Streisand and Christofferson? Let's see, this is where it's going to start getting into the... Is this alive? Barbara Streisand and Chris Christopherson in a Barwood John Peters production, A Star is Born. Is this a movie soundtrack? I think this is a movie soundtrack, y'all. Okay. I'm not going to comment on this too much. The little bit I've heard of Barbara Streisand, she's good, I guess. Barbara Streisand and Chris Christopherson 1976. A Star is Born. Columbia. JS 34403. And it looks like the ad has started, so we're going to go ahead and take a break. Go ahead and use this time. Everyone piss. Thank you. Yes. Netsters, welcome on in. Thank you so much. I hope you can see me saying this because it looks like ads started, but I appreciate you being here. Thank you for the head pat. I hope you can see it behind the big S here. Thank you for stopping on by. Okay, good. You do see it and you hear me as well. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Just giving a couple more minutes for people to get out of ads and we will go ahead and continue. How many records have I entered in? We've got 18 records in here. And this is over the course of 45 minutes approximately, given that I spent the first 15 kind of yapping. Pretty good list, pretty mixed throughout the years. Looks like most of the records I've gone over are from the 2000s. Goated Vinyl Alive to that, yeah. Oh, I was gushing about that record when I came across it. It's such a good it works as like a greatest hits album, but it's also like a really good entry point into just Daft Punk as well. Just because of how much of that music is kind of smashed together. They're fantastic. And as you can see, I have multiple albums. Spoiler alert, there are going to be maybe one or two more albums coming up too from Daft Punk. I don't remember exactly which ones I have, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this whole vinyl exercise here. But we will certainly get into that as the night goes on. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. I'm having a great time so far. I hope your Bday is going well. It's been great so far. The birthday hat on your head. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you noticed that. I did something similar, I think, for my birthday last year, so I just reused the same image. I like how it looks personally. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. I'm gonna hydrate with tea, but I do have a water here once this runs out. 10 seconds left and we'll get going here. Yeah, let me go ahead and give a shout out to Netsters. Yeah, everyone definitely go give them a follow. I think I've been a little bit. Do you have any vinyl from the 80s or 90s? I've got a couple. So I have most of the records I have are probably going to be either prog or prog adjacent type records. I don't think I have a ton of disco, but we'll see as we get into here. So far, the only record from the 80s I think I've gone over is New Shoes Poolside, which has the song I Can't Wait. Thanks for shouting. Yeah, no problem at all. I appreciate you being here. It's good to see you. I think more people should go follow you. How about we go ahead and get into the next batch of records, shall we? I've just been kind of pulling randomly from my collection. I don't know if I'm going to organize it in any particular way afterwards, but we'll see. The first step is to just get them all into a spreadsheet here. Oh, yes, 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 yes. So this is a more recent one. Giant Claw's Decadent Stress Chamber. This was my favorite album from last year. Fantastic electronic record by Giant Claw, who I was just yapping about with the Death Dynamic Shroud Transcendence Bot record. So you posted about this one recently. Yes, I do. I feel like I talk about this a lot. I'll play songs from the album a lot. Z Lifeform, welcome on in. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. I appreciate it. Zoe. Okay, you prefer to be called Zoe? I appreciate you stopping on by. It's good to see you. Giant Claw, Decadent, Stress, Chamber. Was this 100% electron? No, this was Orange Milk. This is his record label, I think. Orange Milk. Orange Milk 2025. Um, so he's mentioned in interviews that over the course of him making music for Death's Dynamic Shroud, he will make these albums of bangers like Transcendence Bod, but he'll put aside a couple songs that are of a specific quality. I like to think that a lot of these songs on this are very melancholic, almost like a little pessimistic. It's not like the darkest or saddest album I've ever heard, but there's kind of a sense of dread. It's Z Life for me. Oh, Z Life for me. Oh, that's amazing. I get it. I like that a lot. Cool. That's really funny. Um, anyway, I like to think that this album is pretty, like, it has this sense of dread that kind of goes through it, and I even feel like some of the song titles kind of hint at that a little bit as well. Hold Me in the Dark, Something to Believe in, Desire to Spare, No Life. Like, I don't know if I'd go. I don't think he intended this for it to be like a concept album or anything, but I almost feel like that kind of sense of moroseness is the concept in of itself. Um, great record. I'm gonna probably just recommend every single record I pull from here, but this is in particular is a fun one. I don't see a code on this. I don't see a catalog number on this one. So I think we're just gonna have to persist with that one. If I were to get any vinyls, it would definitely be a Coldplay or Michael Jackson album. I can definitely see that. That makes a lot of sense for you, Nesters. Welcome on in. I have become Shaggy Doo. It's good to see you. It's a great. Yo, I love psychedelic music. Yes, I am a big fan of psychedelic music. Let's see if the music gods bless me with one now. This is a trippy album. It is Of the Trees, Tanglewood. This is an electronic record from the mid 2000s. You make some yourself. That's awesome. Yeah, I've made a few electronic tracks. I really should get back into making more music. But I'm definitely a bigger music fan than I am a musician myself. So this record here, you're in a krautrock. Ooh, okay, so you're like legit prog, like prog fan. That's awesome. Of the Trees, Tanglewood. So there's two EPs that kind of came out around the same time that Of the Trees made. The other one I think is called Harvest, if I remember correctly. Of the Trees. Is it Harvest? Yeah, it is called Harvest. So this was the follow up to that. This is a very neat album. Um, I'm a very big fan of this. It's a lot darker than a lot of his output. It's kind of like this dark, deep dubstep sound. It literally kind of sounds like you're walking in the forest at night and you're hearing just these like clicks and chirps that are from around you, like something is kind of stalking you. Great album. You ever heard of Strawberry Alarm Clock? I have not. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of bands that I haven't heard of. But I can add that to my list of music to check out. Of the Trees, Tanglewood. All right, let's see if I can get some information on dates or anything. Nothing. See, that is a pet peeve of mine is when the records don't include credits on them. Come on, man. That's the least you could have done. Okay, it's okay. We're going to look it up. Of the Trees, Tanglewood, vinyl. Tanglewood. Released on. It's not on a label. It's independent. So I'm just gonna leave label blank. Released in 2022, and I think this was. Was this the original pressing? Yeah, I think this was the original press. Did the album come out in 2022 though? I thought it came out earlier. It absolutely came out earlier. 2019, that's what it came out. 2022 pressing. 2019. What got you into the psych genre? Let me guess. Pink Floyd or the Beatles? I could go ahead and spoil it for you if you want. Because I'm staring right. I've been staring right at this for the past hour. Um, maybe it's cliche. It was that. It was absolutely 100% Dark Side of the Moon. Um, so here's some like real rad lore for y'all. Getting into it here. Um, Probably the most one of the single strongest core memories I have was my dad introducing me to music. So he was a big both he and my mom were very big classic rock fans. I mean that still makes up a lot of what they listen to. But when I was in this would have been in middle school. I probably would have been 12 at the time. I don't remember the exact year it was. But my dad saw that our local planetarium was doing laser light shows and saw that Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon was one of them. So he's looking at me and my sister. He's like, I'm going to take you to go listen to this album and see a laser light show. And I had no concept of what that was going to be. I got to psych from the 13th floor elevators. Yes, very pretentious. I appreciate hearing like the different ways people get into it, right? Because that's the thing is like psych music is yes, it's all kind of running under the same ethos of like, oh, this is trippy music that comes from like taking mind altering substances and everything. But there's still like a huge diversity in how they achieve that, right? Also, my eyes are doing that thing again. Let me quickly fix it. There we go. They're open now. Um, so yeah, he took me to this laser light show, and I think that was the moment that I realized that music was actually like oh, this isn't just something you listen to pass the time. This is like art, you know? Like, cause it's not like I had not heard good music up to that point, right? Like I had heard, I think my dad had shown me like all sorts of, I'm pretty sure he showed me the Beatles before I listened to Pink Floyd. I know he showed me AC/DC, and I know I heard songs on the radio around that. I'm sober now and I've made psych better than I ever have wanted. And yeah, and that's the thing they really don't tell you, right? Is that for a lot of people, I'd even wager most people, those drugs actually make writing music a lot harder. I don't want to make music while I'm high. I just want to like lay down and fucking watch TV or something, or eat a lot. I don't know, or listen to music. I'd rather listen to music than try to make it myself. But at any rate, right? Um, great, great album. Um, I love it so much. This is my favorite record of all time. Um, I don't know what else I can really say about it. They were a classic rock band, a prog rock band from the UK. They started off in the 60s and started off as kind of this classical psychedelic sound and then just kind of shifted full force into like jammy blues rock. It's amazing. Thank you, Amari. Welcome on in. It's good to see you. I appreciate you. So true, my use of LSD capped my creativity for a while, but now I'm clean, but I still love the genre. And that's the thing, right? I appreciate that you can listen to something like psych music and appreciate what they were kind of doing, but also not have to like immerse yourself in the drugs necessarily to get it, right? It's like, okay, maybe the drugs unlock something in it, or maybe they just tune into it some other way. I don't know. Like it's either which, I think it is a super fun genre. I mean, it's part of the reason why I've kind of branded myself to the whole psychedelic like vibe and everything. The Dark Side of the Moon. If you haven't listened to this album, what are you doing? Go listen to it. Um, Original release was in 1973, but this is the 2003 repress. And EMI. What is the catalog number? Up there it is. Okay. EMI. Catalog number is SHVL 804. Amazing record. It's like, oh, I heard music for the first time today. That also is what started me on trying to find as many like prog records as possible, and just God, I used to go to the so a little bit more rad lore. I used to go to the library near my house growing up and just come home with a stack of 20 CDs because that was the maximum they allowed me to check out at any one time, and just rip them all to iTunes so I could put them on my iPod. I don't think I even listened to half those albums. I just wanted them, I just wanted to have them. When I say pretentious, I mean it. I actively avoided the big Pink Floyd records after. Wow, that's actually really fascinating. Um, I I kind of I see where you're coming from on that a little bit, um, because it's a very different sound. I mean, like, I do think the Sid Barrett sound has its own kind of charm to it. I think it's a little bit more true to a lot of that kind of early psychedelic style. And I do think the inclusion of Gilmore changed the dynamic of the sound. I will say, I thought it changed for the better, but I can also understand someone seeing what Sid Barrett was doing and going, okay, I liked his stuff more, right? Ooh, I just looked at what my next record was. Okay, so let's talk about a different form of psychedelic music, in the form of a genre called West Coast bass music. So, this is the genre that got me to start making music. West Coast bass. Glitch Mob's Drink the Sea. Great, great record. Um, so these guys, I guess the best, simplest genre you could use to describe them is glitch hop. Isn't it a great cover? And that was like, and that's kind of their symbol that they had used for like so many of their releases. I'll just say Pink Floyd got bigger sounding, more emotion. However, Sid brought out a bit of sadness to the genre. Okay, I can see that. I do think they did a pretty good job, at least getting sadness on some of their releases. But I do think there's. It's hard for me to describe it. There is a quality in the way Sid was writing music, and maybe that was kind of because of the stuff going on in his life while that was all happening, right? I mean, there's that whole story of how like his LSD usage essentially led to him kind of isolating himself, led to him like having being more difficult to perform like on stage or work with the other members. It led to personality changes. I think it led to a schizophrenia diagnosis, and ultimately the band kind of just moving on without him, right? So there's definitely something real happening in there, with how that kind of manifested on the record. Sid made me stop acid, by the way, so I gotta thank him for that. That's the thing, right? It's like, and that's not just acid, right? It's a lot of these hallucinogenic substances. Like, they have the ability to like trigger latent like disorders or illnesses, and just completely like it can really mess you up, right? And people definitely, it's definitely something to be cautious about if it's ever something you want to get into, right? Like, I'm not going to be necessarily the type of person to say don't ever do drugs, kids, cuz like that wasn't me. Like, I did them. Like, I experienced that. Not with quite any certain frequency. Like, I did want to try it out and have tried acid once just to kind of see what it was like. I've done shrooms more than I've done acid. Um, but it is something you got to be careful about, right? Because I know a lot of people that have absolutely like had mental breaks because they just got way too into psychedelics. I'm autistic, so autism and psychedelics really don't mix, but yeah, I'm gonna say do your research, 100%. Um, Anyway, Glitch Mob, Drink the Sea. There is a style of music that emerged from the West Coast, like I was mentioning, called West Coast bass. Not all musicians that made West Coast bass music necessarily came from the West Coast. You had DJs overseas coming in and participating and adding to the overall sound. But what was essentially happening was a lot of genres started kind of fusing into one another, and you had all these musicians essentially just pulling all of these disparate styles of electronic music, glitch hop, new school breaks, drum and bass, dubstep, trap music eventually, and literally just kind of tossing all of these into a pot and coming out with something diverse and hot and new and exciting. Drink the Sea is one example of that happening. It's three DJs that were all very important, like very big in their own rights: Ua, Beretta, and Edit. There was a fourth member, Craddy, who left before this album was released. Um, it's great. I really like this album. I think I have a couple Glitch Mob records, but this is definitely my favorite of them. The sound is immaculate on it as well. And I think this was a Glass Air 2010. God, it's hard to think. It's hard to believe that this record was released back in 2010. Was this a repress? Okay, this is a 2020 remaster. Do I have a number on this? I see a barcode. I guess I could just go with that. 100176456 9. Drink the sea. Glitch Mob. Alright, what do we got? I don't know why I wasn't expecting this. The original motion picture soundtrack to The Little Mermaid. Featuring this absolute queen, Ursula, on the cover. I'm sorry for ranting so much, but it's cool to find a second enjoyer. But when you make music, do you cut up the song into little pieces and arrange them like I do? Not a ton. That is absolutely something I gotta do more of. I think I've done that maybe a tiny bit. I know I've done that on a couple projects that I haven't like fully fleshed out. But I do like that style of production, and I love hearing what people do with it. I think for me, I'm like, it's one of those things I need to just let myself do that more and just be happy with the results, I think. But I have a deep appreciation for it. Granular synthesis, I think, also kind of stems off from that a little bit. I do tend to do that on my band songs. That's awesome. Little Mermaid, original motion picture soundtrack. This was absolutely something we just found while shopping at our local record store. The Little Mermaid original motion. Do I just do OST? Original motion picture soundtrack. There's not really a musician for this, right? Do I just put Disney as the musician? Published by Walt Disney Music Company. Walt Disney Music. This song has to be My Teenage Dream Just Ended. If you're talking about the song that's playing right now, that's 100 Gex and Money Machine. Love this song. Oh, I guess I could do Alan Menken, since he's the composer. There's no way. Was the record really released in 2006? Same thing. 2006. I feel like it's older than that. 2020. Pressing. And then D001988501. I really hope they press this to vinyl someday. I want to get this album on vinyl so bad. Okay, what do we got next? Oh, yes. Kind of vaporwave adjacent here. We've got George Clanton and Nick Hexum. So that's Nick Hexum of 311 fame. So this was kind of an unlikely collab that happened between him and George Clanton, who makes a lot of kind of vaporwave inspired indie rock music. I don't remember who initiated the conversation, but I think George has always been a fan of Nick Hexum. Isn't it cool art? Yeah, and there's actually if I pull the record out, you get some additional art there of both Nick and George's essentially personas chilling on a beach just smoking. It's great. They did a good job with the artwork here. But anyway, I think George had been a fan of Nick Hexum for a while and reached out to him and wanted to do a collab. So George sent Nick Hexum a project he was working on, and Nick sent it back with lyrics and guitar over it. And George's like, "Fuck, this is an album here." So they just made an album like that. I like this album a lot. I don't think it got like a ton of like airplay or discussion after it came out, but it holds a very special place in my heart. George Clanton, Nick Hexum, George Clanton, and Nick Hexum. That's just the name of the album. It's on 100% electronica. Released in 2020. Original pressing. I'm pretty sure it's the original pressing. And then the catalog number is 121p. I guess they're literally just counting up and adding the letter P afterwards. Is that just the number of pressing? Ha! Ooh. Speaking of cool album covers, EPROM Icon. Is that so dope? I think he makes his own album art, if I remember correctly. Um, so this is a musician called EPROM. He's also part of the West Coast bass scene. Yeah, right? This music, this is some of just the heaviest, gnarliest shit that was coming out of the West Coast bass scene. He's very similar to like Sophie or Arca, if you've ever like listened to those musicians. Flume would actually go on to kind of adopt a lot of his style as well in later songs. Um, there's some really cool stuff on this record. Demon Veil was one of my favorite songs for a while. That's just like a fucking bass breakcore track. EPROM, Icon. What did he release this under? Deadbeats. So this was what's they're called? Zed's Dead's label. Um, DBR 110. And this came out in 2019. Hell yeah. Uh, very cool producer. What do we got? What do we got? We got Poppy's metal record, I Disagree. I like this record. This record scratches a very nice itch for me. It is Poppy, yes. Yeah, the icon, the legend. This was the record she put together after leaving her partnership with Titanic Sinclair. There is some very heavy songwriting on this, essentially taking back her own like name, her own like style of music, her own creative direction. There's a lot of songs on it that are very much channeled to her frustration around Titanic, talking about the relationship they had and for lack of a better way of putting it, the abuse he put her through. Right. It is a very cathartic album to listen to. It's also very much poppy, right? Like she's got so much like she has this really cool way of blending like those heavy metal sounds with just like sugary pop in it. It's a fun record. I liked this a lot. 2020 Sumerian. Poppy, I Disagree. Sumerian. 20. What year did this come out? 2020. I don't see a number. I don't see a catalog number on this. I guess I'll just do the barcode again. Bit of Poppy, band since the early days. That album resonates with my soul. It's great. It's a nice record. I was very lucky to catch Poppy shortly after her Poppy.computer album came out. That was a fun show. You know, they Charlotte actually opened with a DJ set, which was pretty cool. Um, I haven't seen her since she started making like metal and kind of like hardcore style music. I would at some point. I really liked her cover of All the Things She Said she put out not that long ago. Early fan here too, Zoe, you get me. Exactly. Oh, I guess this is I Disagree More, by the way, which is the uh, deluxe version of the record. I don't know if there's a way to signify that, but that's okay. All right, next up. Ooh, Howl's Moving Castle original soundtrack. Another record we got from our local record store. Hell yeah. Great movie. I mean, we're going to start getting into a movie discussion here. I mean, Studio Ghibli films in general, two things about them, right? One, amazing films, right? Spirited Away specifically was a game changer for me in terms of like how I interpreted anime. Again, right? I think you go from the moment where it's like, oh, this is just kind of an art form that you kind of appreciate. You look forward to watching it on TV like every day or so. But then you see something that's just like, holy shit, like it changes your relationship with the medium. And for me, that was Spirited Away. Howl's Moving Castle is not far behind there in terms of just like quality and movies. I've still yet to see this, but I have seen Spirited Away. It's great. It is a very good movie. It's definitely up there. It's a top 5 Ghibli movie for sure. So let me go ahead and just write Howl's Moving Castle original soundtrack. Joe Hisaishi, I think that's how it's spelled. It's all in Japanese. um, my Japanese lessons aren't saving me right now, y'all. Studio Ghibli Records. So I'll go ahead and put that as the production company. Um, oh, there's the code. TJJA 10030 2004, but this is the 2020 repress. Not the re-res. The repress. Alright. Did I spell that right? Joe Hisaishi. I did. Also, word of advice, if Joe Hisaishi is ever touring near you and playing with a full live orchestra, Studio Ghibli tunes, go see him. It's an amazing show. It's awesome. They play clips of the Studio Ghibli films behind the musicians, and you just hear the most beautiful music ever. What we got? What'd I pull? DJ Shadow, The Mountain Will Fall. So this is admittedly a producer that I don't listen to a ton of. He was really big in kind of down tempo and instrumental hip hop. I believe kind of like in the I don't think this would have been 90s. I think this would have been early 2000s. When did Introducing come out? Introducing came out in 96. Okay, so this would have been late 90s. This record came out in the 2010s. So he's been making instrumental hip hop music for a long time. He's worked with a lot of big musicians in kind of the electronic hip hop scene, in like the actual hip hop scene. The lead single of this is Nobody Speak, which features Run the Jewels on it. There's a collab track with some West Coast bass musicians, Bleep Bloop and G Jones. Um, it's a good record. It's not one that I've listened to a lot of. But DJ Shadow he's definitely like one of those artists that if you've listened to a lot of stuff in like the trip hop scene or like again instrumental hip hop, you've definitely seen his name come up. And he's got a very nice sound to him. So let's go ahead and add this. Okay. So DJ Shadow, The Mountain Will Fall, Mass Appeal. MSA P0034 LP. Well, that's nice that they keep track of LPs and all that. And I think this was an original pressing too. I need nobody to know. I need nobody to know I'm yours. I don't know how to. I didn't know What? What do you mean you don't have a year right on the back? That's preposterous. Are you inside? I do like the album art, though. Isn't that cool album art? The mountain will fall. I don't see a year on this, so I'm gonna Google the mountain. I think it's the original pressing. (2016). Okay, what we got next? What we got next? Also, I am not even halfway through my collection yet, so if I need to do this across multiple streams, then I'll do it. Like, I don't mind doing it. Okay, so if our prog fan is still here, here's one you'll definitely recognize. In the Court of the Crimson King, by none other than King Crimson, probably one of the most iconic album covers ever made. The debut album of one of the most beloved sounds in all of progressive rock. King Crimson. They have changed musicians so many times throughout their incarnations. It's so cool because it's like there's one musician that's been constant the whole time through, right? And it's guitarist Robert Fripp. He is kind of like a jazzy musician that also has a big role in like kind of electronic he's a very good engineer as well. Like he's done a lot of like kind of recording and processing. He's come up with his own way of like essentially like oversit like recording his music and just like processing them with a ton of effects. Um, this album is super cool because the original lead singer of this is Chris Lake of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Uh, so this is a fantastic record. Um, it's weird because it's like the first track is like definitely their most energetic one. It's what's the song? 21st Century Schizoid Man. That's the track, right? Some of you might recognize it from being a sample in Kanye West's Power as well. But this is required. This is essentially required listening for anyone who has an appreciation for progressive rock, and I'd even go as far as say classic rock as well. It is a monumental album, very very good, very jazzy, very trippy. So let me go ahead and King Crimson in the Court of the Crimson King. I don't know what record this would have been, or what label this would have been. So let's go ahead and pop it open. I'll listen to it, but I won't look at it. You know what? That's fair. It's I think the cover was designed to kind of like unsettle and disturb people looking at it. Maybe the interior one will be a little bit more to your liking. It's kind of like a moon that's like holding up like two fingers. Universal. Uh, Released in 19. Do you not even have the year this was published? Oh God, I love, I love this. Sorry, I love this caption. In the Court of Crimson King, an observation by King Crimson. Not an album, not a musical experience, an observation. They just took a look at the universe and was like, here's what they observed. I love that. That resonates with me a ton. Okay. I'm gonna need to look up I don't even see what year this was released, which is wild to me. Because this is 100% not the original pressing. The classic catalog on CD. Oh, these are CD versions. 50th anniversary, the box set editions. Okay, so I'm gonna guess this is a 2019 remix album. This might be part of the Steven Wilson remix series. Also, a good musician if you haven't heard of him. He's the lead singer of Porcupine Tree. Yeah, mixed and produced by Steven Wilson. But when was the original date? Was it? It was 69, right? In the court of the Crimson King. 69. Okay. I'm not gonna worry too much about the record number. I'll get that later. In the Court of the Crimson King, classic. Next album. Ha! We were just listening to a song from this. Underscores Wall Socket Deluxe Edition. So this is kind of the latest record that I've been not the latest record, but I got obsessed with this record a couple months ago. First time I ever listened to Underscores. Love her music. Love her songwriting. I thought that was Mike from Breaking Bad. I can kind of see it. Yeah. I think that's supposed to be the first song is called Cops and Robbers and is supposed to be like essentially a father figure that goes on a bender, just like committing like essentially just what is it, committing identity theft. And then he escapes into like this suburban town and starts a family there. And his family is like one of the his daughter is like one of the main characters the story follows. There's a whole bunch of lore around Wall Socket. Um, Great record. Fun fact. April, the producer behind Underscores, produced and sang and engineered everything herself. The only things she didn't contribute, so she did all the instruments and all the recording as well. There's guitars, there's drums, there's basses. She did everything. The only thing she didn't do were the guest vocal tracks, which were done by Gabby Start and Henhouse. So she is a extremely talented producer. She started off, I think, like doing like future bass beats on the Bitbird record label. And she was like very much inspired by Skrillex. So a ton of her early tracks like sound like Skrillex. Um, but no, it is a fantastic album. Lots of very deep exploration in this album. I can't really recommend it enough. There's just something about this that really jumped out at me. Underscores Wall Socket. This is also the deluxe. So I'll go ahead and write deluxe. Who is the producer? Or not the producer. Who is the publisher? I don't see it. MP774. Well, that's the catalog number. Oh, there it is. Mom and Pop. Okay, so this is our second Mom and Pop. $2024. I don't remember if this was original pressing or not. I think it might have been. Okay. Next up. Should probably break into one of the box sets pretty soon. Oh, good album. Here we go. Hi, this is Flume. Flume made a lot of very nice electronic future-based beats in the early 2010s, excuse me. Car. Yeah. And that's him standing there too, superimposed, which is pretty neat. So he made a lot of really cool future bass beats. His first two albums, Flume and Skin, are very, very good electronic albums. Very trippy, very experimental. This record was kind of a turning point in his sound where he started embracing hyperpop elements in his production. This was before I even really listened to hyperpop. So there are Sophie collabs and EPROM collabs on this record. This is technically a mixtape, so it's shorter songs that you can kind of just listen to all the way through. Oh my god. Like, this is just like, holy shit. It's like, he's cooking with gas on this record. It's just super heavy, like hip hop inspired electronic beats. Um, it's stuff that he's produced kind of off grid, so the rhythmic elements of it aren't like super duper aligned. It feels a lot more sporadic in its production. Um, super super satisfying, very well engineered album to listen to. It's up there. It's hard for me to rank records because I feel like I find a new one to obsess over. But this is a very very good record. It's probably somewhere in my top 10 if I had to guess. Flume. Hi, this is Flume. Uh, okay, this is a future classic record. Uh, 2019. I think this was original pressing too. FCL 250 LP. All right. I don't want to be your USA. I don't want to give you everything. I think this will be okay with Twitch TOS. Charlie. Charlie XCX. Pop star extraordinaire. Put out a very, very big album a couple years ago. Spoilers, we might get to it later on. Um, this was a cool record. I had not really thought about Charlie XCX since college, because I heard I Don't Care, I Love It at all the college parties, right? Boom Clap was a song I heard a lot, and I like that a lot. Like, I go back and listen to it a lot. But I wasn't really listening to a lot of her albums until I started getting really into hyperpop, right? Because, like, when you say hyperpop, it's like A.G. Cook, the producer of PC Music. Maybe he's a name that comes up. Sophie is probably one of the biggest examples of what hyperpop music would go on to sound like, especially from like a production standpoint. But Charlie ended up pivoting her sound a lot based on what Sophie was doing. A.G. Cook became kind of her lead producer, or like executive producer on a lot of her albums. And Charlie was was a very solid example of that synergy coming together and putting together something great. A lot of good tracks on this album, like 1999 is a fun track. I actually do like the Lizzo collab on this a lot, Blame It On Your Love. Silver Cross, I think I probably heard more than most any other song on this album. Um, I like this a lot. It's not my favorite Charlie record, but it is a very solid record, especially if, again, you're like me coming into like having not listened to Charlie XCX in years. Charlie XCX, Charlie Atlantic 2019. Oh, and 0190295495579. All right, what's next? What's next? How about a classic? That's not a classic, but I will show it off anyway. George Clanton, Ooh Rapaya. We already listened to one George Clanton, already showed one George Clanton album earlier. This is a very good record as well. Um, I think I have another one of his records too, if I remember correctly. This came out a couple years back. I actually saw this. I actually went to the tour just after this album came out. Um, very very good tour, very good show, and I like this album a ton. It is a solid album. George Clanton, Ooh Rap Aya. Not George Clanton and Nick Hexum, just George Clanton. 162p on 100% electronica. Released 2023? Yes, I got it. 2023. What do we got here? Emancipator. Soon it will be cold enough. The rest of that is supposed to be To Build Fires. A very nice down-tempo trip-hop album released by Emancipator. He's got some very just smooth beats with a nice chill guitar. This album literally feels like walking through like freshly fallen snow, like in a forest. Like it is such a nice, peaceful, vibey album. I definitely recommend it, and it's a pretty cover too. I like it a lot. There's some cool sounds on this album. Um, Also, Emancipator, great live. He plays with like a full like band, and they're essentially just jamming to his tunes up on stage. Emancipator. Soon it will be cold enough. When did this album come? I know this is a more recent pressing of the album. Am I going to be able to find the credits though? I probably won't. No information whatsoever. Well, that won't do. Original album came out in 2006. But the vinyl came out in... Okay, the one I got came out in 2022. Repress. No record label. It was self-released. That's right, because I think it was a Bandcamp thing. Yeah, I like this album a lot. Sometimes I'll just put this album on and put on like a video of like a snowy landscape, and it's just a vibe. What do we got next? What am I grabbing? Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about this one. So this is Yeti. He does all of his records artwork himself, which is kind of this very minimalist, kind of trippy style of drawing. So this is an artist I used to listen to a lot back in. He's also part of the West Coast bass scene. He's actually an example of a musician that kind of came out of Ohio. Which, fun fact, Death Dynamic Shroud is also largely based in Ohio as well. I think they're now in Philly, but a lot of them came from Ohio originally. This is a musician I admittedly haven't been keeping up with. I've always liked his approach to making music. It's very minimalist and trippy, and I think he really leans into just keeping everything as bare bones and simple as possible. It's very goofy sounding music. But it's goofy in a way that there's still like heavy bass and it slaps. So this was his debut album. He had put out like EPs prior to this, and you know it is a solid record. I think his EPs are ones that I appreciate listening to a little bit more. But let's go ahead and add this to the list. Yeti, The Party Has Changed. I don't remember when this came out. Yeti. $2021. Wow, did it really? No, that album had to come out much earlier. Yeah, it came out in 2020. But the record came out in 21. Pressing. All right. What we got next? I can tell I'm starting to make a dent in all this. Okay, we got another Amon Tobin record. This one caught me off guard when it first came out. It's called How Do You Live? Um, so something to understand about Amon Tobin, his career has taken him some very interesting ways. Horse, look at that Hans, right? Staring right at you. So his career has kind of taken him down some interesting roads. He has a lot of side projects that he's done. He's released music under the name Two Fingers, where he does a lot more kind of heavy West Coast bass style music. He has Figueroa. I'm not pronouncing that right. Figueroa, where he makes like psychedelic folk style music. A lot of stuff under his output is typically like ambient or just like super hyper processed like experimental electronic. Amon Tobin kind of feels like a convergence point of all of the different styles he got involved in. So it is just a heavy, hyper processed, trippy as hell oral experience. Fantastic album. The songs on this thing are like I think it'll blow your minds. I like this album a lot. I don't think it's gotten anywhere near the amount of recognition it deserves for just being a beast of the album it is. Amon Tobin, How Do You Live? How do you live? Released under his own record label, No Mark. Fun fact, he's the only musician under No Mark, and it's just different side projects that he's made. Um, No 8. What a great, I like that. NO8. 2022 was when this album came out? I don't see a date on this. We will rectify that immediately. This was the original pressing, though. I know that much. Okay, well, this sleeve is fighting me, so I'm probably going to have to put it to the side for now. How am I doing on time here? Do I have another ad coming up soon? 2 minutes. Okay, that's enough time for me to get through at least a couple more records. Another Death Dynamics Shroud record, After Angel. I feel like we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit because I haven't even gone over Dark Life yet. So like I mentioned, this so Death Dynamics Shroud put out a couple records with the full band essentially, right? The three producers. Dark Life is one of my favorite records. Um, this is the companion album to Dark Life. You can think of it as a mini sequel if you like. This is basically a collection of B sides from the Dark Life recording sessions. So it is all the same juiciness and quality and just in your faceness that Dark Life is, but it's the stuff that did not make the cut onto the album. So instead, you get it here instead. Solid album in its own right. I saw this announced. I'm like, I have to get this record. It is so good. There's a lot of really nice songs on it. Um, you Are Burning Me Up Like This is a good song. Kill the Duke of Earl is like a weird, just like kind of banger of a song. It's called After Angel. I think this was 100% electronica too. No, this is Ghost Diamond. Excuse me. Which I think is James Webster's record label, if I remember correctly. GDR 079. And this came out a couple years after the record. Yeah, so this was 2023, but the pressing was 2025. Okay, I got one more. I'll do one more record before ads, and then we can all take a break together. Ooh. Bonobo Black Sands. Classic in down tempo trip hop style music. Oh my gosh, if you haven't heard Kiara yet, you are doing yourself a disservice. That is just such a vibey like this album makes me imagine I'm in like just a giant expansive like rainforest, just like, and you're hearing life happening all around you. It is so cool. Bonobo Black Sands. And I think this was a reissue, if I remember, or like a repressing. But again, they don't have the liner notes in the album. Uh, we got a break. We got to add starting soon, so feel free to use this time to get up, stretch your legs, get some water. I'll be here in 3 minutes. I'm just gonna add liner notes to this. Okay, perfect. Ninja Tune 2010, 2020 repress. And Zen 14 OX. There we go, piss. Thank you, Cap. God, I'm gonna need to do a second stream for all these records. Uh, I hope y'all are enjoying this though. I'm having a great time yapping about music. This is exactly how I wanted to spend my birthday. However, I do not think we're going to be able to complete this in uh the time that I'm spending streaming today. So we might have to do a second stream to finish it up. Still though, I mean I made a pretty big dent in my collection already. I'm going to wager that I've gotten through 40% of my records. I don't think I'm at 50. I think I'm a little under 50. We should definitely get to 60% or so by the time the next ad break rolls around. I'm going to rest my voice for a little bit. I hope they don't make me talk at work tomorrow. Cap, I just saw the picture you got. It was like 40 minutes ago. Thank you. Okay. Um, Ads should be finishing up in just a few seconds here. And we're back, y'all. Let us continue with the records. Like I said, I'll probably go about another hour or so. Our ads are very synced up at the moment. How's the spreadsheet going? It's good. We've got 38 albums so far. I wasn't able to get catalog numbers for all of them, but that's fine. I think I was able to get the release dates as good as I possibly get. Oh, that's one I missed. How Do You Live? When did that come out? How Do You Live? Was this 2022? No, 2021, excuse me. But yeah, it's been going really good. I don't think I'm going to finish it tonight, but I've made very good progress on it so far. I will keep this ball rolling. Next album. Okay, so here's another record that I inherited from my father-in-law. Santana, Moonflower. I don't think I'm quite as familiar with this record. I am familiar with Santana. He is a great guitarist. I like a lot of his music. I'm not seeing a track list on this record, and it also looks like I might be missing a record potentially. Oh. All right, Santana Moonflower. What do we have on this? We have Black Magic Woman. Okay, this is the album with Black Magic. See that now this is showing one of my blind spots in rock music. I haven't listened to a ton of Santana's albums in their entirety. Um, okay, Santana Moonflower, Columbia Records, released in 20. No, not 20. What am I saying? Oh, I just saw it. 1977. Excuse me. Atlantic AL 34915. Okay. AL 34915. Atlantic 1977. Santana Moonflower. Uh, that's my homework, is to listen to more Santana. Gorillaz. Debut Gorillaz album. Um, this is probably my favorite Gorillaz album. The second one is a very, very close contender, though. Um, here's the thing, right? One exciting thing about Gorillaz and just being a fan of the Gorillaz is seeing every album is just a different style, right? Like their sound changes so much from album to album, and sometimes I think that can catch people off guard a little bit. I know it's made it harder for me to get into their later stuff compared to their earlier stuff, but man, you take a look at like the stuff they're putting out now versus what they put out originally, you can really see just how much their style has grown and evolved. This album is dub and trip hop. Like there is just so much of this kind of like I've seen some people say that like Gorillaz must be super influenced by like Massive Attack, and I can kind of see it, but they're doing kind of their own things with it as well, right? But the dub influence is 100% there. I mean, like it's definitely clearer on some tracks compared to others. Like Starshine and Slow Country, I feel like really have that dubby sound in it. I don't know how many of you have heard of the album Like a Come Home though. So now I'm gonna nerd out for a little bit. There's a remix album of Gorillaz by a group called Space Monkeys called Laika Come Home, and that is a dub remix album. So every single song from the Gorillaz album, well, pretty much every song, is essentially turned into this just drippy reggae, just production like heaven, where it is just these gnarly like reggae remixes of these songs. It's so good. It sounds fantastic. Um that was a limited like vinyl pressing, and those records are now hundreds of dollars. Like that's the kind that's like that is my like bucket list type vinyl, is to get like a pressing of Like a Come Home. I hope they do a repress one day. I would love to get that on vinyl. There's a few records like that that I'd also like. Pretty Lights comes to mind because I don't have any Pretty Lights on vinyl. But I like this album a lot. I love pretty much every song on this album. Um, Clint Eastwood is one of my go-tos for karaoke as well. Um, Gorillaz. Who released this? Whomst? Parlophone. Parlophone. 2000, but this pressing was 2001. No. No, this pressing was 2001. Excuse me. I would have assumed this would have been a repress, though. 7243 531138810. Is this? I guess this isn't a repress. Yeah, interesting. I guess it was original pressing, which surprises me because I definitely didn't get it in 2001. All right. Porter Robinson, Smile. This was a recent get. from my local record store. Solid album. Um, I love Porter Robinson. Like it's, I feel like he's one of those artists I think I just discovered at the right time. Because I had like listened to a lot of his older like kind of house stuff, like Language, like Say My Name, um, even his like Spitfire EP and all that, like very solid danceable music. And then he just comes out with Worlds, and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? This is his first foray into hyperpop. Um, very good album. I really like this album a lot. I think I like this more than Nurture personally as well. Like, don't get me wrong, Nurture has a lot of really good songs on it. I had a hard time with kind of the production style of Nurture. I feel like almost feel like it was a bit too jarring going from Worlds to that, but I was able to kind of. I almost feel like I heard this and I just soaked it up instantly. Like, got it. Okay, I get it. Oh, another mom and pop record. Nice. 2024. And what is it? MP. Excuse me, there's a exclamation point I missed. MP761. Porter Robinson, Smile. How many of you know Caravan Palace? Electro Swing? Anyone? They are a French band that make electronic music that essentially just kind of are very much influenced by like that older jazz kind of big band swing style, but with electronic beats, right? So there were a couple producers that kind of popularized that sound. Caravan was one of them. Parav Stellar is another one. Caravan Palace, though, have kind of grown since their early electro swing days, and this album is a great example of that, where they kind of step into more like kind of future bass and almost EDM styles of music. I like this album a lot. It's really good. There's like flume sounding tracks on this, which are pretty wild. Caravan Palace. This is Chronologic. Produced by MVLP 1034, released in 2019. Who's the producer though? Or sorry, the record label. Distributed under. Is it just MBKA? All tracks published by Dramaphone. I guess that's the label. I'm gonna write Dramaphone. Caravan Palace, Chronologic. Okay, back to prog, y'all. I'm gonna start. I feel like I'm just gonna start getting a ton of prog records all at once, just because of how I'm picking it. Close to the Edge by Yes. Very simple album cover. Do not let that fool you. This album, this fucking album, is probably one of the best examples of like progressive rock music you'll hear. You've heard good things about Yes, and there's a very good reason you have. So Yes is a UK band. They were part of the same kind of like scene that like Genesis was coming out of, that Pink Floyd was coming out of, even like King Crimson. Um, Classically trained musicians. Um, they just there is some sort of chemistry. There's a couple things at play here. Part of it is I think the chemistry between the musicians. They gel together so fucking well, and they sound like they're having super fun playing it. They're also just really fucking nerdy, and will just write these like 20-minute long songs with all sorts of like key changes, all sorts of like lyrical changes. But it doesn't sound jarring in any way. It sounds like it's all one cohesive piece. And this is probably the best example of that. There's 3 songs on this album. Close to the Edge, which is like 17 minutes long, and You and I, which is like 10 minutes long, and then Siberian Khatru, which is 8. So it's like it's the length of a standard LP. It just happens to be just only 3 songs, but it is a journey. Um, Fantastic record. I think this is probably Yes's best. You could make the case that you probably could make the case that Fragile is also their best. For those of you who are fans of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Roundabout was the uh, outro song for the first season and the second season. Um, Fantastic song. I like that a lot. I think it's really funny that that song became a meme. Yeah, so that's Yes. I'll be the roundabout. The words will make you out at him. Was this okay? This was Atlantic. 1972. This might be an original pressing too. SD 7244. Close to the Edge. I was just talking about Massive Attack. Mezzanine. I would call this the greatest trip hop record ever made, but that'd be doing a disservice to what Massive Attack actually are. This album is if rock and dub and industrial and trip hop all had a baby together, and that baby was a Prodigy. It is an amazing combination of sounds. The most famous song on here is definitely Teardrop, which many of you will recognize as the intro to House. Another one, yeah, I get it, with the beetle on it. Um, it is, yes, so it is absolutely a classic album. I love this album so much. Teardrop is good. I love Rising Sun on it. I love Inertia Creeps on it. Dissolved Girl is a fucking banger. Massive Attack. I would call this required listening for electronic fans, personally. Very good record. The back, the back is zapping him. I guess so. Yeah. How do I find? Oh God, that is a tiny album number. Okay, I'm gonna squint really hard to get it. 06025375404 Well, I don't. No, there was another 3 I missed. Okay, cool. Well, at least I don't need to go for an eye exam. That was it. 1998. Is this a repress? It might not. I mean, it's in good condition if it's not a repress. And Circa. 1998 Circa Records. Massive Attack, Mezzanine. Here's a group that's near and dear to my heart. Carbon-based life forms. I actually need to get more of their records. They went through a period where they weren't able to supply to the United States, and I think they've reversed that now. Carbon-based life forms are psychedelic ambient. So they are essentially just, I mean, they're ambient DJs that incorporate trippy elements to their music, right? I like to think of it as kind of like, what if Psytrance just kind of slowed it the fuck down and took it easy and then put like a low pass filter on everything? That's Sybient, and World of Sleepers, Carbon-based life forms is an example of that, right? Lots of really good tracks on here. I think their most famous track from this album is Photosynthesis. Um, I like this album a lot. I adore it. But this kind of came at a period of time where they put out 2 other albums very closely after. Hydroponic Garden. No, Hydroponic. What's it called? Carbon-based life forms. It is Hydroponic Garden. I'm a sucker for jellyfish. Yeah, the jellyfish are very nice looking on this. Um, that's right, and this was pressed under Blood Music. Hi, okay, carbon-based life forms, world of sleepers, Blood Music. Blood Music are a metal record label. They were, I think they're defunct now. They were based in Helsinki, and they originally were doing a lot of, I think, like black metal uh, records, and then they pivoted to electronic via Perturbator. They're like, we really like Perturbator. We want more people to hear him, so started pressing his music, and then they just expanded to electronic in general. So they picked up Carbon-Based Lifeform's entire catalog and essentially offered to do like remixes, remasters, because the records at the time I think were like 20 years old or so. Like I think this originally came out in like 1998 or so. But so this is like a fully remixed, like I don't know if it's fully re-recorded, but it's definitely remixed album. Um I'm not seeing a date on this, so we're going to have to go chase it down. Blood 151R. I think more catalog numbers should just have blood in it. World of Sleepers, Blood Music. Was it 2016? Yeah, I guess so. Original recordings from 2006. Next up, another Charlie XCX album. How I'm Feeling Now. I like this record a lot. Main reason being, this was her COVID record. So this was something that she recorded with A.G. Cook during the lockdowns. And the songs are essentially how she's feeling about the lockdowns. I've seen a lot. I haven't kept up with a ton of what other musicians were doing and saying during COVID, right? You had some musicians that were still kind of trying to make party music or like pop style music. I feel like Charlie was one of the few that really was able to kind of lead into the fact that we're all isolated and none of us actually want to be here, and we're all thinking about the parties we're going to throw when we can see each other again. More Charlie I got to listen to. Dude, this album is great. I like this album a lot more than Charlie, and it's pretty close up there. I might even like it slightly more than Brat personally. Um, Solid album. C 2.0 is really good. That's actually a remix of that's actually a like a remix of a song from the Charlie album. That's literally just like she misses her clique. Like it's literally just her saying I miss my friends. Okay. Charlie XCX. How I'm Feeling Now. I think it's all lowercase, but I don't think it really matters. Warner Music UK. I'll go ahead and add that in to the other Charlie album. Where's the other Charlie album? Oh, she switched from Warner to Adelaide to Warner. I didn't even catch that. Another small number. 0190295209285. 2020 because it was COVID. Oh, I'm 100% not going to be able to talk about this record. Sorry, y'all. This was another one we inherited father-in-law. I'll go ahead and add it just so everyone has it. I know nothing about this record. Diodato, Prelude. I don't even know what the musician or what the... I guess Diodato is the musician on this. Brazilian pianist and composer. Good for him. I'm going to have to check this out. Oh! He did a cover of Also Sprach Zarathustra on this album. Classic banger. CTI is the label. CTI 6021. And our time, when did this get published? Recorded 1972. I'll check this out at some point. I do eventually want to listen to like all the records I have in my catalog. I think I've listened to probably around 50%, but maybe a little bit more than 50%. Spoonbill, more psychedelic bass music. Kind of a dark, groovy, glitch hoppy sound. Very bouncy style of music. You might have heard me talk about Tipper a lot. He's got a very Tipper-like sound to him. This one kind of feels more like a nighttime album. Very nice driving music, in my opinion. Yeah. Great tracks on this. The opening track, Mirari, is really good. Radio Silent. It has some kind of neat lyrics on it. Let's see. Spoonbill. Mosaic Shuffle is the name of the record. And we got... It's on Omelette Records, which is his label. 2023. This was the original pressing. Does he even have a catalog number? I don't think he does. Okay, I do see a number, so I'll go ahead and type it up. Jesus. 3760-3960-22174. Thank you, Spoonbill. Alright. I'm going to do a little bit of quick rearranging here. What I want to do is start putting the records I've already sorted through into one box, and then the records I haven't gotten to yet in the other. So don't mind me while I start doing that. Oh, don't fall records. Consider this a mini break as I stand up and stretch my legs, which I've been very bad about all stream. Go ahead and put more of these in here. Do you use a specific box for them? I have these two. So basically, I'll go ahead and show you. It's these two crates that I picked up from like Target or something. So fun fact, most crates you find out in the wild are actually slightly smaller than records. So you have to get like a box that's like specifically sized for them. I don't know the max capacity for this. But it can hold a lot. But I did get to a point where I needed to buy a second one. So all of my records are in two of these crates. And then I have a couple box sets that aren't small enough to fit in them. Actually, this will be nice. I'll be able to get a visual representation of how many albums I've done and how many I have left to go. Okay, we're not quite at 50% here. So I'm probably going to do 50% tonight and then have to do 50% another night. I feel like the spread is still going to be pretty much both prog records and more recent electronic records. Like, I see a mix of both kind of happening here. Okay, let's grab one of these. What do we got? Death's Dynamic Shroud. I'll Try Living Like This. This was the album that put them on the radar. I think this is actually my most listened to vinyl right here. Um, Very trippy album. It uses a lot of K-pop and J-pop samples in it, but they're slowed down because it's vaporwave. Like this is like a real vaporwave record. Um, Production on it is crazy. Like I mean, it's very much kind of that lo-fi style, but like the drums are super well like mixed into it. It gives it kind of it's like dance music from another dimension. Um, I like it a lot. I love this record. I think it might be a little bit harder to get into for those who don't really listen to a ton of vaporwave. Um, but I adore this album a lot. I'll Try Living Like This by Death's Dynamic Shroud. This was the album that also got me into Death's Dynamic Shroud. Living Like This. This album was done by Keith Rankin and James Webster. Um, and this was a repress. So this was on the 100% Electronica record label. 2020 repress, but the original album came out in 2015, I think. I don't know if this was a re-recording or not, though. (2015) Masterpiece Edition. 2020 Masterpiece Edition. And I don't see a catalog number on it, so I'm just going to skip that part. Death's Dynamic Shroud. I'll Try Living Like This. Fantastic album. Uh, Globular. Hollow Beyond. Psychedelic dub music. Very much related to Spangle, kind of just these wide, trippy soundscapes. Very vibey sounds. I don't really know how much more to describe this. Globular is a musician that I've listened to a handful of times when I was young. Not when I was younger. A handful of times over the past several years. There's so much of his music I really like, but I also don't know too much about him as a musician. So, hang on. Gotta remove a note here so I don't accidentally dox myself. Bop, 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 bop. I don't see dates on this. Oh, they're buried under the stickers? No, they're not. What's going on? How am I going to get to the date? Oh, I'm going to have to get creative, probably. Okay. Yeah, I don't even remember when this pressing came out. I don't think this was. I don't know. I don't think this was an original pressing. I think this was a repress, if I remember correctly. Oop. What happened to my screen? Oh, did I just. That's pretty funny. I just closed out of my. I just closed out of Google. Let me get back into that. Yep, give me one moment, y'all. How did that happen? Man, he wiggles when he walks, and I wanted it to stop. It's a smile, it got everybody up. Boys are math, but the boys are talking science. And back around. All right, there we go. I'll bet my bottom dollar and I'll bet my britches off. Okay, there we go. I can't get this back into the sleeve. We'll deal with this later. Also grab that note. I don't think I wanted to crush that up. All right. All right. Next up, give me a classic record. Okay, that's a well. There we go. Don't mind me. I'm just creating a lot of stuff here right now. Porter Robinson Worlds. I mean, I already talked a little bit about this, right? This was Porter's pivot from kind of the electro house bangers he was known for to kind of a more future beat style of music, embracing kind of more indie elements in it. Um, love the songwriting on this record. I discovered this. I discovered this pretty much not too long after it came out, but I never did see the World's Tour, which I am absolutely kicking myself for because, as far as I can tell, that was a fantastic performance. I would love to have been able to see the World's Tour. And I hope one day he does like another kind of like world style performance again. Because I've seen him 3 times now. No, I've seen him 4 times. I saw him when he toured with Maddie on, and they basically just did DJ sets mashing their songs together. I saw him as Virtual Self. I saw him at Second Sky not too long after he put out Nurture. And then I saw him as part on the Smile Tour. That's right. Porter, Robinson, Worlds. Nope. Worlds. 2014. Sample sized is the record label. Okay. B00 2002 101. Porter Robinson, Worlds. Great album. Listen to it if you haven't already. Okay, I'm going to grab an older record just to make sure we're kind of spacing them out. This one's not random. Sorry, y'all. Okay, perfect. Here's a weird one. Here's the 80s one Nestors was looking for. Peter Gabriel. Another one with kind of an unsettling album cover on it. Um, so fun fact, the first 4 Peter Gabriel records are all called Peter Gabriel. I don't know why he did that. Why does anyone do anything? So his fans came up with names to differentiate them. Peter Gabriel 1, 2, 3, and 4. But that's not enough. So they decided to give a title relevant to what was on it. So Peter Gabriel 1 is called Car because he's driving a car. Peter Gabriel 2 is called Scratch because there's like a graphic of him scratching the cover. Peter Gabriel 3 is called Melt because his face is melting. This one's called Security. I don't know what in this image speaks of security, but this is the colloquial name. So what I'll do is call it Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel 4 Security. There's a lot of really good songs on this record. So I'm gonna get into it a little bit more. Peter Gabriel was originally the lead singer of Genesis, right? So he was part of that progressive rock outfit during their big progressive rock days. Now, the Genesis you all know probably isn't progressive rock. It's the Phil Collins, like, just house of bangers that produced such tracks as Invisible Touch, Land of Confusion, um, Duke, just so many, like, a lot of really good songs. And I mean, Phil Collins went on to have his own big career as well, right? I mean, he did the Tarzan soundtrack, for God's sake. But Peter Gabriel also had a very successful solo career. Um, and Peter Gabriel 4 was the one right before the album that actually like sent him to the top of the charts. He has a very kind of he's considered like art rock, you know, kind of evolving parallel to like the progressive rock scene. A little bit more poppy in songwriting, but still having a lot of that prog rock ethos to it. Those of you might know who Kate Bush is. Very similar genre wise to the stuff that Peter Gabriel was doing. Um, but a cool thing is that Peter Gabriel was also like pioneering a ton of these sounds that would go on to be like ubiquitous in 80s production. Like, you know that drum sound in Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight? Like that came from like Peter Gabriel production sets. And to be fair, Phil Collins was the one doing the drums on those as well. Um but there's some like the song I Have the Touch on this album, same drum on that. Like same drum style, feels very big in 80s. Um San Jacinto is a very pretty song that has like kind of these twinkling elements. It sounds like something out of a movie soundtrack. Shock the Monkey is probably the biggest hit off this album. Very good, fun song. I like this album. It's not one I revisit a ton, but it's got a lot of very weird songs on it. I definitely recommend it if people are into like that kind of style of music. So Peter Gabriel for Security by Geffen Records. GHS 2011, released in 1982. Peter Gabriel, Security. Well, Peter Gabriel, also known as Peter Gabriel 4, also known as Security. Uh, y'all ready for another Daft Punk record? Random Access Memories. I know it's a bit heretical. I haven't even played this. Don't let that fool you. It's a great album. Um, I had such essential listening. I had such high hopes for Daft Punk, man. Oh my god, when this album dropped, I got so excited that I might finally get to see fucking Daft Punk perform live. And then they kind of like teased a couple stuff, and then they just broke up. It's like, what the hell? Come on. Great album. I really like it. I don't think I like it quite as much as Discovery. It is still a solid album. The production on it is great. It has a lot of like all-star producers on it too. Like it's got um I am completely blank. It's got a Pharrell. It's got Pharrell on it from the Neptunes. It's got Giorgio Moroder on it. It's got Nile Rodgers on the bass on a few tracks. Solid album. Um, Daft Punk, Random Access Memories. Not Random Access. Memories. Columbia? This was their Columbia record. Interesting. Fucking numbers. 88883716861. Released in 2014? 13. 2013. Daft Punk. Random Access Memories. Ooh, okay. Now we're starting to get into the real shit here. Tipper. Ford Escape. Can I just say, this might be one of the single greatest albums to be pressed to vinyl ever. I want to tell you a little story about this album, and it's not going to be of this particular pressing, unfortunately. There is a legend around this pressing, my friends. Tipper is a producer who came out of UK, out of the new school break scene in the late 90s, early 2000s. He's been making music for a long time. He is a very talented producer. Um, some of you may know, or may not necessarily know, that if you've ever watched the TV show Criminal Minds, there's a song that pops up a lot in the first season that sounds kind of like this creepy, like music box style track. Um, that's actually a Tipper song. And something to understand about Tipper is that a lot of his early it's called Illaby. Something up to know about Tipper is that he started off licensing a ton of his early tracks out for movies, for TV shows. So it's not uncommon that you come across something in like the 90s and be like, that's a Tipper track right there. Um, and I think that was part of just his approach at the time, which was just to kind of get his stuff out there in as wide of a net as possible. He started making a name for himself. One of the things he did would be just he'd soup up his car with like stereos and just drive around like blasting music out of his car. So he would do like renegade sets with that. Um, he put together one of the first ever albums to be recorded in surround sound called Surrounded. Which also, if you get the chance to hear that in surround sound, it's fantastic. Just noises everywhere, all over the place. Um, his style changed a lot as the 2000s went on, and he started becoming a bit weirder and trippier with his music to the point where he became essentially your favorite producer's favorite producer. And that's something that I kind of realized as I was getting into electronic music, was that from the perspective of those who were deeply involved in the West Coast bass scene, Tipper was the one that everyone was looking to, right? He is one of the most innovative and just weirdest, catchiest producers ever, and his live shows reflected that. I am super happy I got to see him like 4 times before he ended up retiring last year. Um, but you would go to his show and he would play like an hour to an hour and a half of music that was mostly unreleased and just didn't have song titles associated with them. I'm still chasing tracks to this day from those sets. Like they just don't have names. People like fans have named them because they started hearing the same songs at various sets. But so much of his music is just kind of under the radar and has this almost kind of like cult following associated with it. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. He put out this album, Forward Escape, I think in 2014 was when the original release happened. And around that time, he had a major medical procedure have done on him. He had to get quadruple bypass surgery, like open heart surgery, essentially. So he did a limited pressing of Forward Escape to help pay for the surgery. He's fine. He's doing well health wise. That pressing is probably one of the more expensive vinyl, like sought after vinyls that I've seen, just from certainly from a bass musician, but just in kind of the from kind of that electronic music perspective. Copies of Forward Escape go upwards of $2,000 to $3,000, if not more, for the original pressing. This is not original pressing. This was the repress that I was finally able to get my hands on when he actually got around to doing it a couple years back. So this is something that I have been waiting for a long time to get my hands on. And oh my god, let me tell you, if there might be some people in your life that say they can't tell the difference between vinyl and like just listening somewhere else, or they think vinyl's worse. Vinyl makes this sound better. Vinyl is the single best way to listen to Tipper, and I will stand by that. I will die by that statement. Not just this album, but the other stuff he's made too, which I'll probably get to in a bit here. I love this record so much. Um, it's not my favorite of his records. It's so good. I think this is kind of where it's getting to the difference between like what do I think is my favorite versus what do I think is the best. I think this is his best record, and I think a lot of people would probably agree with that, just in terms of the quality, in terms of just how it's structured. Obviously, the the production on it is phenomenal. Like it tickles your brain. Like if you put on the first track and just kind of let it play, it will just massage your brain in sound waves. Um, just the trippiest shit. Um, I do like this album a lot. I don't know if it's my favorite Tipper album, but it is 100% up there. I think I've blabbed enough about it. Tipper, not Ford Escape, Forward Escape. Uh, Published under his label, Tipper Music. Tip 006 V2, because it's a repress. Original album came out in 2014. I don't know when this was repressed. Oh, also, the album art is fucking dope. Uh, it even says like by Android Jones. So Android Jones is the person who made this art. I like his stuff a lot. I was absolutely considering getting a tattoo of his stuff a while back. I might still end up doing that. When was this repress? Tipper, Ford, Escape, Vinyl. Let's see what the actual vinyl is going for right now. That's funny. The repress is now going for $150 because it's already sold out. Repress is 2024. Now, just for funsies, let's see how much the original vinyl is going for now. Okay, right now it's going for 1.18. So $1,187 is the median price right now. I think the minimum right now that you can buy, according to Discogs, is 1,463. Yeah, so it's not cheap. It's still going for a lot, and it probably always will. Okay, Tipper, Ford Escape. Love you, Tipper. I hope he comes back so I can see him perform again. That's a cool album. I like this album cover. This is probably the cover that's most associated with Vaporwave. Macintosh Plus, Floral Shop. Macintosh Plus, of course, being the alias of one Ramona Xavier. She's had a few different projects. This is her most well known. The whole idea of Vaporwave being slow down 80s songs, I mean, I don't think you could get further. I don't think you could get closer to that in terms of like the heart of Vaporwave than this, right? I mean, the biggest track on this is Lisa Frank 420, Modern Computing. This is one of those records I found in a vinyl store in Hollywood. I was visiting my friend out there, and he's like, I'm going to take you to a record shop because I know you like music. So we went there. I saw this up on the wall. I'm like, dude, I have to leave with that. I can't not buy that record. So I got it. It's a great album. Macintosh Plus, Modern Computing. Also, not Macintosh Plush. Macintosh Plus. Floral Shop. 2016. I don't know if this was an original pressing. No, okay, it's not. So this is a 2011. It's a 2016 repress. Hmm. I see Prism Corp. Prism Corp is the recording studio. OESB. What is that number? 92. OESB 92. Old English Spelling Bee. That's the record label. There's a few different. I know this record label's like. I know this record's kind of switched hands as the years have gone on. It's just been different publishers have kind of taken it over and published it. I think there was even some controversy based on like how some of them went about releasing it. I'm just happy I got my hands on it. Okay. Ooh, okay, here's a weird one. So it's progressive rock, but this one's a lot more modern. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Notagon Infinity. This was my gateway into King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and it's also probably one of the few records I'm actually most familiar with. I've heard a little bit of a couple of the others. Polygon Wonderland was another one I really liked. This one is wild. So this is one of those albums where the last track fades into the first track. So it kind of just, it's one of those albums that's specifically designed such that it goes on forever. It's 9 tracks, and they all kind of flow into one another. So you could just kind of put it on, let it play, and then if it loops, like you're kind of stuck on the train forever, essentially. Not a God Infinity. Robot Stop is a fucking banger of a track. That and the track that comes after it, Big Fig Wasp. Good album. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Oh, there's only one Xian lizard. Excuse me. There's also only one Xian wizard. Another I've heard good things about by many people. And King Gizzard is another one of those bands that completely changes their style as in across different albums. I need to make a better effort into listening to their stuff, honestly. I've heard so many good things about the albums, both that came before and after this. All right, looks like we're on ATO, Nonagon Infinity. Oh, I cannot read that text. Holy shit. Just give me a year, man. 2016. ATO 0301. 2016, right? One more check. Yep. Okay. King Gizzard and a Lizard Wizard. Nonagon Infinity. Solid album. Square Pusher. Square Pusher is one of those other, like, your favorite producer type guys. Um, he was very big. He was kind of like an Aphex Twin contemporary, where he was doing a lot of, like, this kind of abrasive style of techno. I'm pretty sure Square Pusher generates all of his own sounds. It certainly sounds like that. But Duster Time is a solid album. Wenderlin is just a monstrous beast of a track. The music video of it is really cool because it's played on an oscilloscope. I like this album a lot. It's very unlike a lot of the stuff he's done before because there's a lot of these kind of just like solo guitar segments that act as interludes in the album. So Square Pusher, Dostra Time. Was this self-published? I guess this was self-published. Oh yeah, it was. I remember the crowdfunding campaign now. Square Pusher Dostra Time. I spelled it wrong. Dostro Time. Nope, I did it again. I added a 0. Dostro Time. 2024? 2024. Oh, it was released under Warp. Excuse me. They didn't really highlight that. Warp DD366. 2024. Perfect. Thank you, Square Pusher. Okay, we got an Igloo Ghost record. So this is kind of dubsteppy trap music. Not really. He exists in kind of like this weird space between like I guess it's there's a whole genre of music called IDM, which is going to sound really pretentious when I say what it is. IDM is short for intelligent dance music, and it was meant to talk about the music that like Aphex Twin and Square Pusher and all those were making. That was like not really music suited for dance floor, but more just like kind of that cerebral, like super like exploratory kind of production. But it sounds pretentious as hell, doesn't it? Igloo Ghost kind of falls under that umbrella, but he's still very much inspired by like the dubstep and trap shit that was coming out of the 2010s. So this album is actually a double EP. So that's Steel Mogu on the front and Claire Tomei on the back. So it's 2 EPs in one. Claire Tomei is also, fun fact, Igloo Ghost's music has a fuck ton of lore in it. So these are 2 characters, part of his universe. This is Claire Tomei, who is kind of a gentler character that's more of kind of a peacekeeper, and this is Steel Mogu, who runs with gangs. So this is more heavy, abrasive type music. Um, so great double EP here. There's so, aren't they? Oh my god! You honestly just look up like Igloo Ghost's album covers for the creatures alone, right? Because this came right after his Neon Wax Bloom album, where he has a lot more of these creatures. Um, Layla, and every single album he's made, we're about to get into an ad here. I'd love to just nerd out about Igloo Ghost's lore, so I think I'll do that in just a bit. But every single album and EP he's done has this massive backstory, and in some cases, like an ARG associated with it. I'll get into that once we get back from ads. Go piss, everyone, or drink, or do the opposite. Drink more water. I'll see y'all when we come back. I'll go ahead and enter this information though. Igloo Ghost. Clear, Tame, Steel, Mogu. I'm the president. You voted here. Brain Feeder. That's Flying Lotus's record label. 2019. LC 12885. Piss. Piss. Psst. Hey. Hey. What the fuck are my eyes doing? Hey. If you haven't pissed yet, this is your sign to go piss. Don't just sit here watch me doing whatever the hell I'm doing. Go do something with your life. Go drink water. Go take a walk. Go tell your loved ones that you love them. Quick, you're running out of time. There's only a minute and a half before we get right back into this. God, it's 10:37 already. I do have work tomorrow. Mm. God, yeah. There's literally lore inside this album right now. I'm gonna have to do this at some point. 10 seconds left. We're running out of time, y'all. Better be quick. Welcome back, y'all. Yeah, so Igloo Ghost does lore. Every single album he's done has been a concept album. His debut album, Neo Wax Bloom, is about a giant pair of eyeballs that land in a fantasy land and essentially how it disturbs all of the characters around him. Leyline Eon is about summoning spirits to the human world through playing music in a particular way and kind of documenting those events. Um, what was his next one? I'm blanking on the name. Uh, Igloo Ghost. I'm completely blanking. It was a great album too. Holy shit. Title Memory XO is about essentially about creating music in this essentially pirate radio in this like world that's been essentially reduced to a wasteland. So you're essentially just kind of like digging for scrap and like fighting for territory. And then his EP, what was it, Bronze Claw ISO, is crane music, which is essentially just music that was created by people working at a construction site. And how there's this whole underground scene of crane music. I like that EP a lot. I actually play a handful of songs from that EP as part of this playlist. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We'll probably. I already made a solid dent. We're more than 50% done at this point. Um, yeah, crane music. Very, very good. I just lost my spreadsheet. There we are. All right, what do we got next? Sure, I'll knock the other Square Pusher record out. Square Pusher, Be Up a Hello. This was the one that came out before Dostra Time. There's some good tracks on this. I like, I'm totally like other name. Terminal Slam, Vortrack is a good one. There was another, I think the main single off this album. Another one, exactly. And this is another one I'm going to have to look up the details of. Be Up a Hello. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, I didn't even realize this was a limited pressing. Square Pusher. Be Up a Hello. Warp. Warp LP 309. Detroit People Mover and Speed Crank. That's right, those were the tracks I was thinking of. Yeah. This is one of those records I think I feel like passed me by pretty quickly. Like I listened to it, I was like, that was kind of cool, and then I didn't really think too much about it. There are a couple tracks on this that I'll revisit. I mean, Terminal Slam is the main one. Um, Speed Crank is definitely up there as just like kind of a wacky, just like chaotic track, which really speaks to how chaotic Square Pusher can get with his music. I think I ended up liking Industrial Time a little bit more. Okay, now let's start getting into some other prog records here. Pink Floyd's Metal. This is the album that came out right before they put out Dark Side of the Moon. And it is kind of a fascinating album, in my opinion. I actually like this album a lot. The opening track is called One of These Days. That was my favorite song for like most of high school, I think. That was the song I probably played more than anyone. It's literally just like a bass riff that's like delayed and then some slide guitar on top of it and they're just fucking jamming out like, and also you can kind of hear the Doctor Who theme in it for some reason. The middle songs are okay, you know, like A Pillow of Winds, Fearless, Saint Tropez, like they're fine. They're kind of a bit more like chill, like soft rock almost. Seamus, they got a dog to sing with them apparently. And then there's like Echoes, which is one of the greatest songs ever made, which is just like a 20-minute prog rock epic. Just one of the such a pretty track. A lot of just spacey sound. It literally sounds like you're like drifting through space and like making contact with the satellites. It is such a great track. Pink Floyd's Metal. I don't think it stands up quite to Dark Side of the Moon. That is a very tall order to fill, but it is a good record in its own right. EMI, and what is the code on this one? I don't even see a year on it. Oh, there's a code. Smash 832. Let me smash. What the hell is the year, though? 1970. I'm out of 1970? 1971, excuse me. Pink Floyd's metal. Okay, how about we take a pivot into a completely different genre? Y'all fuck with bluegrass? Nickel Creek. Why should the fire die? Um, so my dad's a big country fan, you know. That's a genre I heard growing up a lot, you know, living in the South, living in the Midwest. I have an appreciation for it, but it's not something that I love, you know. But bluegrass is something that I've enjoyed for most of my life. I think it's just something about the earnestness of it. Like, it's literally at the heart just a bunch of musicians just jamming and having fun. Um, Nickel Creek adds in some more kind of like almost kind of indie rock songwriting into it. Um, there's two albums that were pretty formative to like the transition between me being a child and being an adult. It was their album that preceded this called This Side, which is a little bit more upbeat, still has some kind of serious sounding songs. This one's a lot more morose. Like a lot more kind of like it a lot more of the songs on here are essentially about relationships falling apart or just realizing that you've grown apart from the people that you originally held dear. Um but it is such a pretty album. Like it's super minimalist too, right? A it's a violinist, it's a bass player, it's a guitar player, and then a mandolin slash banjo player. Like super super laid back. All three of the members sing. Very pretty record. I would recommend it for sure. Um, it's not like your stereotypical form of bluegrass, although there are definitely more bluegrassy jams on here if you want to hear them. It's a lot more. I guess I've heard the term progressive bluegrass thrown around a lot. Like basically just imagine kind of like indie rock singing with bluegrass elements in it. That's probably the best way to describe it. Okay, Nickel Creek. Why should the fire die? Um, Craft Records. 20. Okay, so this pressing was from 2020. But the original album was in 2005. Do we have a number? CR00335. God, I've got a fuck ton of records. How many am I up to? I'm up to 59 records so far. Ugh. Another one. Charlie XCX, Brat. The summer classic that we all remember and love. Banger after banger after banger. I actually like this album a lot. It also is a grower, in my opinion. Because the first time I've heard it, like, solid album. I like the songs. But it's like, wait, I just kind of want to keep listening to it. It's like, okay, listen to it again and again and again. And then you go to clubs and fucking Von Dutch is playing, and it's like, hell yeah, I'm in my element right now. I am serving. I like Charlie's eye peeking out the back here. That's kind of cool. Um, Good album. Very, very good production on this. I didn't take to it, but maybe I should try again. Yeah, sometimes I listen to it a second time and it kind of, what's the word? It kind of like recontextualizes it, and I like get it. I've definitely put on albums a second time and have been like, I get it now. Maybe, but don't force it. I mean, if it sounds great, stick with it. If not, find something you like. Atlantic Brat. Is there a period? No, there's not. Atlantic. You and your long ass number 075678611674. Released in 2024. The second Brat album. Uh, is that the remix album or the one with the bonus tracks? Well, I guess I don't. Does the remix album have the 3 bonus tracks on it? I do like the remix album too. I really like the Talk Talk remix. I like the which were my favorites? Oh, the Girl So Confusing remix is great because it has Lord on it. Yeah, I'll do this one next. I don't know how much I could speak to this. It is a vaporwave album, but it's not one I've really taken the time to internalize a lot. It's more like I can't believe they're selling this, and I grabbed it. Uh, Desert Sands Feel Warm at Night, New World Disciples. So the band is called Desert Sands Feel Warm at Night. I say band, it's a producer. Um, Vaporwave album. This is a particular style of vaporwave that is less take your 80s music and slow it down and more just like create really vibey ambient like exploratory sounds. It's the same, it's like this micro genre that like Telepath is a part of, or like what was it, 1488, I think. 4188. It's one of Telepath's side projects. But anyway, Desert Sands Feel Warm at Night. Um, let's go ahead and get this in. Desert. As always, the art slaps. Vaporwave have some really cool art to it. I mean, it's supposed to tickle that part of your brain that like feels nostalgic, right? So I feel like this kind of like pyramids with like a nice kind of shimmery like trippy background. I don't know. It's triggering something in me. Desert. I think it's all lowercase too. Desert sand feels warm at night. New World Disciples. Disciples? Yeah. Oh, this is the fan club LP, apparently. All the tracks are in Japanese. Copyright 2021. Released under the. Is that Beetlejuice? Needle Juice Records. That's a nice record label. Needle Juice. NJR054. How about another movie soundtrack? K-pop Demon Hunters. um, I like that movie soundtrack a lot, quite actually. I was definitely listening to all of the songs after I saw that movie for a while. Um, how it's done is probably up there as far as one of my favorites. Not a big fan of Soda Pop. That's a little bit too kind of saccharine and I don't know for my taste. Your Idol is good. Free I really liked a lot. Golden is good. I just feel like I've heard it way too much personally. But I appreciate it. Um, honestly, it's a really well done soundtrack, and I mean the movie's great too. If you haven't seen the movie, please do yourself a favor and at least see it. I did like the soundtrack a lot though. Obviously enough that I wanted to get it on vinyl. Um, so K-pop, Demon Hunters, Republic. Did I format it correctly? K dash pop. K dash pop Demon Hunters. 2025. Got a little code here. 6024786886344. Okay. Pendulum, Inertia, their comeback album. So I discovered Pendulum back early in my college years, like freshman year of college. Um, so I guess we could start getting into what actually got me into, like, really into electronic music. Because there were definitely a few bands and musicians that were up there, right? My eyes are doing the thing where they're just constantly closed. There we go. Daft Punk was up there. Skrillex was up there in terms of musicians that were just kind of really getting me into electronic, right? Um, I think what really did it though was hearing a lot of electronic rock bands or like bands that like producers that incorporated a lot of rock elements into their music. The big one was Infected Mushroom. Like that was Infected Mushroom was probably the group that made me realize, oh, I love electronic, right? And from there, I also heard like Knife Party. I heard I'm trying to think more Skrillex. I heard a little bit of Excision here and there. There were other producers that I kind of heard around the same time. But Pendulum was another one that kind of came up around that time. And hindsight being 2020, right? I wish I would have listened to them more because Pendulum fucking opened for Linkin Park before Pendulum broke up the first time or went on hiatus, right? So they put out their Immersion album in 2011 and then decided to pursue other projects. The main guys in Pendulum went on to form Knife Party, right? Rob Swire and Gareth McGrillen went on to form Knife Party and make music under that. And to be fair, they made a lot of really good music in that outfit. I mean, I still go back and listen to some of those tracks. Um, but then they came back and started releasing some singles during the lockdown. One of the tracks on here is actually a commentary on the COVID lockdowns. Nothing for free. Um, and then they announced they were going to make an album, which is essentially the EP they put out with a ton of additional fantastic tracks. This album is a beast. It is really good. I don't quite know how it would rank the Pendulum albums. Um, I went back and re-listened to the first album and realized how much of a banger it was. Immersion is probably still my favorite Pendulum album. This is really good though. Like, and something neat is that they explore a lot more kind of metalcore stylings on it as well. Um, I believe Bring the Horizon is on this album. AWOL Nation is on this album, like as collabs. Um, it's a solid album. Great mix of like drum and bass music. Great mix of like metalcore music. Rob Swire does scream vocals on it. It's great. Um, very very good album. Mushroom Music is the record label, which is kind of neat. Mushroom Music. Pendulum Inertia. Released in 2025. Musho 23 LP1. Is that Musho or Mush Zero? It could be Mush Zero. Musho is funnier. I'm gonna stick with Musho. Time check. How long do I want to keep this going? It's already 11 my time. Okay, I'm gonna do two more records so we get to 65 on this list, and then I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. I think. Like I said, I'm kind of realizing there's no way I'm going to be able to get through all of them. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and grab one more record from this pile, and then I'll grab one of my box sets as well. What do I want to show off? Let's go with... Okay, here's a fucking classic record. I do have some Beatles, specifically Rubber Soul. Solid Beatles record. This was... it's funny, because I know it's our boys, it's our English boys. I think back to there's a really good documentary by Mike the Snare on YouTube that talks about the Beatles discography and kind of like what they were doing around the time, and it kind of talks about how you could see kind of the slow change the Beatles were making and how they approached like composing songs, right? Because they started off doing a lot of these kind of like rock and roll style jams and like rock and roll covers pretty early on in their discography. But then as they started like learning more about production, they just started getting weirder and weirder with it. So Rubber Soul is kind of like the first moment where a lot of that starts peeking through, and then it just gets cranked up with each subsequent album, right? Because after this they would do like Revolver, They would do Sergeant Pepper. They would do Magical Mystery Tour. They would do Abbey Road, which is just banger after banger after banger. And this is kind of, I think, the start of when that really was happening. Um, so there's a lot of really good tracks on this. Norwegian Wood is probably one of the bigger ones on this one. Michelle, also a good track. Um, I I like it. You know, it's not my favorite record. I definitely liked Revolver a lot more. Um, and then I think Sergeant Pepper is up there with my favorites. I think Abbey Road is my favorite Beatles record. I mean, it's just that's an album full of bangers on it. Um, but solid record. I mean, you really can't go wrong with Beatles. I mean, it's solid songwriting. Uh, Rubber Soul. You were on Capitol. Is this my first Capitol record that I've gone over today? ST2442. Released in. Ooh, what year were you released in? I don't see a year on here. Come on. Don't be shy. Don't be coy with me. You're really gonna make me Google when Rubber Soul came out? 1965. Old ass record. Okay. Ugh. I've got 3 box sets. So how about I go out with a banger? How about I go out with a fucking banger? We got any Evanescence fans in the chat? Fallen box set. This was something my wife actually jumped on when it was first announced. Very pretty framing on it. Love the butterfly in the middle of it. Look at that iridescent cover. I love the way this album cover shines. It is such a well-made cover. Like it's the original cover is really good. Like I mean I love Amy Lee's face on this, but god, just the extra flourish of color just adds so much to it, I think. Um very good record. Um Bring Me to Life and Haunted and My Immortal were songs that were on my regular rotation back when I was younger, especially Bring Me to Life. Um, so, like I said, when my wife kind of found this deal and jumped on it, I mean, like we both kind of jumped right into it. I hadn't really listened to the full album before until she showed it to me. And I'm kind of, on one hand, like, yeah, I kind of missed out on it a little bit, but I'm glad we got to experience that together, you know? Um, but it is such a cool box set. I think this has like additional like photos and stuff from like the sessions, if I remember correctly. Okay, so these were alternative. I think these were alternate shots modeling Amy Lee here. Um, so I won't necessarily go through all of them. Um, it is a really damn cool box set, though. All right, go ahead and try to put this back carefully. So this is the 20th anniversary pressing of Evanescence Fallen, and it's also a box set, like I said. Um, and it's come with a couple additional items here. I think we have some pins that celebrate the 20th anniversary. I think we have a cassette of demos. Yeah, I think we have a cassette of demos. Oh, and then I think there's a journal too that kind of talks. Oh, yeah, there is a journal that kind of talks about some of the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. I do not remember how much this box set costs. That's a question for my wife. Okay. Evanescence Fallen. Oh, when did that box set come out? That I'm gonna have to Google, I think. Bup, 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 bup. Come on, at least give me the Discogs on it. Da, da, da. Fallen. Where's our box set? 187 versions? No one has time for that. There it is. Okay. Craft. What was the other Craft record? Oh, that's the same record label that Nickel Creek released on. Huh. CR00735. Hmm. Okay, so this box set came out 2024. With original recordings. So 20th anniversary. Deluxe box set. Super deluxe edition. Original recordings from 2004? I assume, since it was 20 years after. 2002? 20th anniversary. It was 2002. Interesting. Okay, that's fine. Okay. I'm going to call it a night here, y'all. I'm already starting to feel my throat close up. We got 65 albums here. We are not done. I can bang it out in one more session. It might not be the immediate next time I stream. Maybe I'll make it that Wednesday, or maybe I'll do it the week after that. Definitely be on the lookout for that, though. And if you are interested in keeping up with whenever I go live next, feel free to give me a follow here on Twitch, or on my Blue Sky at itsradnomad.bsky.social, or on my Discord, which the link has come up a couple times. But if you would like to keep up with what I'm doing, or just have a place to shoot the shit, share some memes, consider stopping on by. We'd love to have you. Really cool seeing your collection. I appreciate that, Cap. I'm glad that people found this enjoyable, and I appreciate you and Zoe sticking it out with me, just listening to me yap on and on about music. It's something that I love doing very much, and honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't really done a whole lot of since I started streaming. So there is still more work to be done here. I am looking forward to the next time I go through, because there are some banger records I haven't gone over yet here. But this is a good initial list. Not a whole lot of records that I had no knowledge about. Right, like I said, we inherited a couple, like the Barbra Streisand. I don't really listen to Barbra Streisand, but I'll include them. They're in my collection, you know. Um, Y'all, thank you so much for chilling with me. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. A great day tomorrow. I'll go ahead and say one more time, thank you so much for all the birthday wishes. This was a really fun birthday. I had a very good time today. All of you made this birthday possible for me, honestly. Um, I've been looking forward to doing something like this for a while, and just hadn't really done the planning or set aside time to go over it. And like I said, just the number of people that reached out to me to kind of wish me a happy birthday, I wasn't really expecting it, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for everyone who stopped by, everyone who made me feel special today. I do really appreciate it. Isper, hey there. Welcome on in. Thank you so much, and thank you for the birthday message. I very much appreciate it. I hope you are doing well. I am going to go ahead and end stream here. We'll find someone to raid out to in just a little bit. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.